हाय, आपको पता है 100 में से एक वीडियो इन्फ्लुएंसर शायद ठीक ठाक कमाता है, पर 100 में से 10 वीडियो सेल स्टार्स बड़ी।
Namaskar. I would like to welcome you all. Dr. C. Radhakeesoon ji, Dr. Ish Agrawal ji, Ish Sharma ji, Dr. Vikas ji from Mauritius in our journey of 302nd milestone today. Independent Research Ethics Society, our guardians like Madan Thangvelu ji, Professor V.K. Agnihotri ji, Professor Vishnu Prakash Sharma ji, and our commanders like Dr. Jayesh Thakkar, all are grateful to all dignitaries on the dais, off the dais. We are really grateful to you all. Without your contribution, this journey is not possible. And we will be inviting you again and again as and when the topic of your convenience will be there according to the celebration of the day. So without wasting much time, I would like to welcome Dr. Ish Sharma. Dr. Ish Sharma. Dr. Ish Sharma ji, please, मेरे से ज्यादा बेटर ढंग से आप मेरे भाई हैं और आप मैं चाहूंगा कि आप डॉक्टर राधा कृष्णन जी को इंट्रोड्यूस करें तो मेरे लिए बड़ी कृपा होगी.
Thank you, sir. Very much thanks to all for joining, and a special thanks to Dr. Pawan Sharma ji for such a wonderful milestone. He has crossed 300 webinars, and this is really even difficult to imagine what he is executing so effortlessly. And such a stellar dignitaries are there. Dr. Madan ji is always finding time for the webinar. We are really thankful to you, Professor Madan ji. And Dr. VK sir is always there. We have got two friends, Professor Pradeep Kumar from Punjab and Professor Giriraj Sharma from Gujarat joining us today for the first time. I believe Dr. Giriraj was there earlier as well. So the layout for today will be covering Ayurveda in Mauritius in 3 phases. Dr. Radhakeesoon ji will be briefing upon the history of Ayurveda in Mauritius. Dr. Vikas will be presenting the current scenario, and I'll be highlighting the future prospects of Ayurveda in Mauritius. So the 3 eras would be divided like this. So I'll be welcoming Dr. Radhakeesoon to introduce Dr. Vikas, because we had a last minute confirmation from Dr. Vikas. Maybe Dr. Radhakeesoon to introduce Dr. Vikas first, who is a BMS from Tibia Ayurveda College, Delhi. And then maybe Dr. Radhakeesoon ji, you can start with your talk, please. Dr. Radhakeesoon ji.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Ish Sharma ji. आप सभी को नमस्ते. डॉक्टर पवन शर्मा जी और श्री मदन तंगावेलू तथा my friend Dr. Vikas Harkori, who is here, and all the dignitaries who are present here. To introduce Dr. Vikas Harkori. Dr. Vikas Harkori has done his BAMS from Tibia College, University of Delhi, and he holds a Masters of Health Service Management with distinction from University of Technology, Mauritius. And he has been presently working with the ministry since 2008. And he is very active in the field of presentation, and especially webinar and presenting and disseminating Ayurveda throughout the island, mainly community-based program. And he has been also one of our prominent speakers in radio and TV shows in our local media. And last year he was awarded the Vagbhat Samman by the Association of Ayurvedic Physicians for his contribution in the field of Ayurveda. And he is a very promising Ayurveda practitioner with many novel ideas, and always preaching and teaching and practicing Ayurveda in Mauritius and also on the international platform whenever is possible. He has represented Mauritius twice on international platform, especially during the Ayurveda Mela in India, and he has also been speakers in the national conference representing government of Mauritius. So this is about a brief introduction of Dr. Vikas Halpuri. What I gather from my mind. If I have missed something, Vikas, you please excuse me. Then you can highlight yourself what you have done. So, to you, Professor Ish.
Okay. I would like to especially mention one feature. Dr. Radhakeesoon is a pioneer in more than one ways when it comes to Ayurveda in Mauritius. And when he came back to Mauritius after his studies in India, he found that owing the importance of Agni, hing was not much used in the culinary of Mauritian cooking. So he propagated hing so much that he was eventually known as hing wale Dr. Saab. So really he has done very commendable works, and heading the Association of Physicians, he has got very noble, unique ideas, and no planning in Ayurveda is complete without his actual contribution. So I'm really thankful to you, Dr. Radhakeesoon ji, and whenever I have got a problem or whenever I have to plan something in this capacity of Ayurveda chair, the first person to fall back to is Dr. Radhakeesoon ji, who is very much there, always there to guide me, to help me. And as a team, we are moving ahead, and we look forward to a very promising future of Ayurveda in Mauritius. Maybe Dr. Radhakeesoon ji, you can start with your talk.
Okay. So allow me to share the screen if possible.
Yeah, please.
Okay, is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I will do the slideshow. I will not do the slideshow. I will go one by one because there's certain slide that I will just skip. Well, you know, in Mauritius, Ayurveda has a very rich history, and the present and the future evolution and prospect of Ayurveda depends on its rich history. Ayurveda, there are certain slides in this evolution about Ayurveda that all of you know, that Ayu and is equal to life and Ved knowledge, and then you have the 8 clinical branches, and then the Panch Mahabhut. I will come direct to the point about the historical aspect. You know, Ayurveda came to Mauritius with our ancestors who were here in 1834. And most of them embarked from India, from KOLKATA itself, and among them there were many of our ancestors who have some basic knowledge of Ayurveda. In the past in India there were no universities or college at the time. It was Guru Shishya Parampara, but many of these Ved even changed their name and came under other name and started doing other jobs along with the practice of Ayurveda in Mauritius in a very hidden form due to the British. At the time, the British were quite against Ayurveda. It is a historical fact that in 1864, there was one of the Mauritius Science Museum curator, Mr. Louis Bouton, an eminent French botanist, has published a work on medicinal plants having a description of 125 medicinal plants along with name in Latin, Hindi, Sanskrit and Tamil names, because at the time in Mauritius there were quite a substantive South Indian population from Tamil Nadu who came during the French colonization before 1810, and they were quite present especially in the commerce, in the business area. They're mostly the business people, and they had this book has been in the first book relating about medicinal plants. Then the book in itself, when we go, it has used many of the what we call the pharmacopoeia of Ayurveda. In 1886 to 1890, there was a work on medicinal plant by one of the eminent Dr. Darucci de Grandpré, who was a French doctor, and his medicinal book, when you go through it, it is directly based on the Materia Medica of Uday Chandra Dutt. And this work has been used for, I can say, nearly 50 years as a guideline to prevent many communicable disease in Mauritius. We have mention of the use of Ayapana in Mauritius during the cholera epidemic in 1920, and this mention has been made by Dr. K.M. Nadkarni in Indian Materia Medica. We have, is it visible and I'm audible? Okay, no? It's okay?
Yes, you are very much visible and audible, Dr. Radhakeesoon.
Okay. Then we have in the history of Mauritius the first evolution, that the first Ayurvedic physician was not learned in any university, was a Pandit Ramnakhan Sharma, the first Ayurvedic physician, who happened to also practice the IRES Ayush Pandit, and he stayed in Lahore, and he studied Ayurveda with Pandit Ramnath Visharad at Lahore and came back and started very what we call simple Ayurvedic treatment in Mauritius. Then we have a very quite interesting incident about the sale of Ayurvedic medicine in Mauritius. It was in around 1930 to 32, where sales of Ayurvedic medicine was started by Sri Ramlochan Nathu in Port Louis Market. And this was for only 2 years, because the British government at the time stopped that sales of Ayurvedic medicine under the under this pretext that it was a not allowed and illegal practice of medicine. So he was fined quite a sensitive amount, but he didn't stop his sales of Ayurvedic medicine. He continued besides being fined. Then we have the 1938. All these first 4 people that I'm mentioning, these are not graduate from universities, and they have learned Ayurveda from the Guru Shishya Parampara. And there was Pandit Hari Krishna Visharad, who also returned to Mauritius after his study of Ayurveda at Vaid Multani in Lahore. And he also was trained in the what we call the Vedic practice of Karmakand, and he used to practice Jamun Sirka as a special preparation for abdominal colic, and this was one of his preparation. So these people use very what we call Ghareru Nukse and home remedies as a form of Ayurvedic practice. And then we have also one of the leading stalwart of the Mauritian history, Professor B. Besundayar, who popularized Amla and Triphala during his sermons. And now the sales of medicinal plant in Mauritius is very folkloric, and the folk medicine of Mauritius is based on the medicinal herbs used in Ayurveda and Siddha medicine. Mr. Muthuswamy and his family have a long-standing tradition of sale of this traditional medicinal plant, especially in Port Louis Market. And tourists around the globe comes to Mauritius to buy these herbs from the Muthuswamy family, which have cure for many ailments, and they are quite popular and famous among the tourists. Now we have the first graduate of Ayurveda from university was late Dr. D. Sobran, who unfortunately passed away last year due to COVID at the age of 85. And Dr. Sobran graduated in Ayurveda from Gurukul Kangre Haridwar and started his practice in Mauritius as from 1969. And he was also a pioneer in Ayurvedic medicine and started the manufacturing of Ayurvedic medicine. Semi-finished products from India were brought, and certain medicinal herbs from Mauritius were collected and prepared. And he prepared many medicine and had a huge clientele in private practice, and he was able to make Ayurveda popularized and also lively, because Ayurveda, he was the person who has kept Ayurveda amongst all odds, amongst what we call against winds and tempest. He has been able to make Ayurveda flourish in Mauritius. And we have also among him the late Dr. J. Apadu, who started also was a graduate from Gurukul Kangre, and he studied Ayurveda, he practiced Ayurveda at Goodlands. These are two first pioneer post-independence of Mauritius. and they have them up. The first step to legalize Mauritius was from Dr. Karan Singh, who came to Mauritius during the Second World Hindi Convention and tried to legalize, convinced our then Prime Minister Sir Siv Sagar Ramgoolam to legalize Ayurveda, but he was not successful due to certain what we call opposition from the doctors and the modern medicine fraternity. Then came a second step. There was free Ayurvedic clinics by Human Service Trust, who is an NGO and has been pioneering in what we can say has been a milestone, and also play a very key role in legalizing what we call the Ayurvedic Act in Mauritius. We have the Vishnu Rashmin Raidu, was then finance minister around the 80s and 90s, late 80s, and he was also recently the foreign minister, and he was very instrumental in setting up Ayurvedic Center at HST and has pushed the idea for legalizing Ayurveda in Mauritius. This came true under the government of Sir Anirudh Jagannath in 1989 under the health ministership of Sri Jagdish Govardhan, and it came in force. The present Ayurveda and other traditional medicine act came in force in 24th November 89, and this recognized along with Ayurveda homeopathy and Chinese traditional medicine. This is the act, you can see copy of the act. And now after the act was passed, there was one of the eminent doctor who came to Mauritius, Dr. Banarasi Das Gupta, eminent Ayurvedic scholar who has been one of the editor of Charak Sahimta, has been in Mauritius for a long while and carried a survey on medicinal plant. He was able to identify around 80 medicinal plants used in Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia, and that was used later, his work was used later by all the experts in Mauritius to carry further study in medicinal plant. Then come the first International Ayurvedic Conference in 1990, where we have the outcome. There are around 80 medicinal plants were exhibited, and one of the outcome of that conference was the scholarship from Jamnagar was awarded to two scholarship were awarded to Mauritian students to study Ayurveda. And then in 91, one of my colleague, Dr. Juraman, went there, and 92, I was selected to study Ayurveda at Tibia College, University of Delhi. And the government, there was a first series of government clinics that was run under Dr. N.C. Shah at SSR Hospital, Long Mountain Hospital. And this clinic was very popular, but they had certain administrative problems. They were closed for a certain while. I'm coming to that. The main important things that happens during 96 and 97, we had the visit of internationally acclaimed specialist in medicinal plants, Dr. Mayaram Unyar, who stayed in Mauritius for around 6 months and carried a huge survey of medicinal plants of Mauritius, and he was able to identify some 400 locally medicinal plants that are in the pharmacopoeia of Ayurveda and that can be useful. And this survey is already published under a book which is available in India. And we have then there was postgraduate scholarship award to the doctors. You have here Dr. Juraman and Dr. Gopal were given postgraduate scholarship. And in 98, there was a short-term closure due to certain administrative problems of Ayurvedic clinics and the Ministry of Health. And from 98 to 2004, there have been extensive and aggressive campaign by the private sector, non-governmental organization to preserve and promote Ayurveda through written, spoken press, public lectures, medicinal plants exhibition, and the people. There was quite a big momentum from the public at large for the reopening of Ayurvedic centers in the Ministry of Health, under the umbrella Ministry of Health, and that was done in September 2001, again under Sir Anirudh Jagannath government. And the first that is paving way forward, we had the centers to be open in different corners of Ayurveda, and our association, that is Association of Ayurvedic Physicians, came into picture, came into existence as from 2004. And then we had the very first reopening of Ayurvedic clinics in Mauritius. At present, we have 8. My colleague, Dr. Halkori, will give a full detail about the present status. So mainly the clinic in 2004 was open at Belvedere and also at Legalized Medical Clinic. These two are open in 2004, and a series that continues. The rest, my colleague, Dr. Halkori, will narrate to you. And one further step that was done in 2015 during the visit of Indian Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. There was an MOU that was signed between the government of India and Mauritius, and the outcome of MOU was the establishment of the Ayush chair in Mauritius. And after 7 years, I can say 6 years, we had Professor IRES Sharma among us. And in 2016, there was, in April, there have been a second international conference at State House in Mauritius. And there was a proposition by our association members during the deliberation of the conference as one of the proposal that we made was the celebration of Ayurveda Day as Voluntary Day as Ayurveda Day. And it was in the presence of your former Minister of Ayush, Sri Naik ji, and he accepted our demand as a resolution of the conference, and that was subsequently celebrated the very same year. And so these are the certain contribution of Mauritius in the field, international field also, and our local field. And our rich historical background has compelled all the government that have come post-independence to recognize, legalize, and valorize Ayurveda in Mauritius, because this Ayurveda is part and parcel of our culture, our gene, and people are willing to follow Ayurveda. And this is why there have been a big demand. And my friend Dr. Halkori Vikas ji will definitely give you more details about the current situation. And thank you for attention. And I'd like to thank Pawan Sharma ji and all his team for allowing us from Mauritius, me and my colleague, to share the status along with Dr. IRES Sharma, who will very much give you the future plan that are coming in Mauritius regarding the Ayush system. Thank you very much. Dhanyavad.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you very much.
Maybe if I can request you to add one particular mention regarding the herbal textbook written by your President, Miss Fakim. I believe that was a great contribution to Ayurveda. If you can maybe highlight a few sentences about it, Dr. Radhakeesoon.
Yeah, I wish to allow to elaborate on this. My friend Halkori is smiling there. I will not use this platform. What I can say that the book that she has written is based on the work of Dr. Mayam Unyal. Okay. It has been used as Mayam Unyal book has been used as base, and that also the work of Banarasi Das Gupta has been the motivating and key factor for writing this medicinal book. So Ayurveda is behind this book. I think you want to me to highlight this, that Ayurveda has been behind the existence, the bringing in the conception of this book. Yes, Ayurveda is behind this conception of this book, and the former president always acknowledged that Ayurveda has done has a role to play in Mauritius. Yes, definitely.
Thank you, Dr. Radhakeesoon ji. Over to you, Pawan ji.
Very inspiring, very inspiring. Excellent. You have contributed so much for Ayurveda there. Really, I salute your zeal and passion for Ayurveda. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Madan sir, kuch bolenge?
Yes, please, Madan ji, please.
Mute hai, sir, mute hai. I welcome Dr. Harish Verma from Canada.
Radhakeesoon ji, thank you so much for this amazing presentation. You've taken us through that historical account from the very time when people from India came to Mauritius and all the struggles in between to where you are today. In the chat box, I'm taking the liberty of echoing your comment that we should try and work towards A-level and O-level courses. I put this on the chat box just to draw attention to Dr. Anil Johari ji, who's here, who's looking after many of the quality control aspects. So I'll put this in the chat box so that it is recorded and for us to come back to revisit. So thank you again from my side, extremely informative. Namaskar ji. And we look forward to your guidance to shape this initiative further. You can see, if you look at Pawanji's archive, you can see the recordings of all the webinars till now. It's a lot of material that's there. Excellent presentations by so many people. It's a little bit not curated. Pawanji is trying to condense it and bring together some themes. He is also thinking about a separate webinar series on specific diseases and treatments and the experts from India so that we can archive all these things.
Thank you.
And we look forward to your guidance in all of these things. So look at this. I am seated here. This is the fifth industrial revolution and the basis of the fifth industrial revolution, which is flow of information. I am seated here in Cambridge. You are talking from Port Louis, and all of you are there in Mauritius, in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And Pawanji is sitting in Calcutta, Anilji is sitting in New Delhi, Professor Agnihotri ji, former professor of Swasthra in Uttarakhand University, is seated there in Dehradun. This is the future. And I think from these interactions, we will encapsulate the highest quality of value that will make the basis for the future. And we look forward to all these kind of partnerships, and this is the essence of the future. Namaskar ji. Thank you for being with us today. We have colleagues. I forgot to mention Dr. Harish Verma is joining us from Toronto in Canada. So you can see the network and how we are spreading ourselves and pulling together the best of minds, knowledge, wisdom, experience. Harish ji, like Pawanji, is a third, fourth generation Vaidya and has extensive expertise in so many areas. So this is the future. And we are very grateful to Pawanji for making this network, and he's hitting us every day. Every day he says, I have a webinar here, and he's encouraging all of us to become part of a beautiful big family. So thank you again from my part. Enjoyed very much, and I look forward to further presentations from your team in Mauritius. Namaskar ji.
Okay, Pawanji.
Yes, easy.
I can take liberty to moderate, Pawanji.
Yes.
Okay. So I also welcome my graduation time colleagues, Dr. Rameshwari Sharma and Dr. Vikramjit Singh Lali from Punjab. And they are here for the first time. I welcome you, Dr. Harish ji from Canada. And I'll be requesting you all, Dr. Pradeep Gupta, Dr. Rameshwari, Dr. Vikram, Dr. Giriraj, to anytime unmute and interact, because this is not a one-way talking. And we have been having a very pleasing sessions during last couple of months. Maybe I believe Dr. Pradeep Gupta wants to add something. Yeah, Pradeep can unmute.
A very good evening, everybody here. And I am feeling blessed to having the company of these stalwarts of Ayurveda. A very informative session started by Dr. Radhakeesoon sir. And I am a great fan of Dr. Pawan Sharma sir. I have listened to him a lot when he started his journey and told us about in Nasya seminars that he left some emergency and on the behalf of the full confidence of Ayurveda. I have listened to him a lot of time personally also. And my guru, Dr. Ishi, is always here. We are blessed that my clinic is running only on his behalf in Panchkarma Center in India. And he always teaches us, and his blessings are always with us. In future, so also with your company, everything will be going on for the globalization of Ayurveda. Thanks a lot. Continue, sir, please.
Also, we have Dr. Devendra Khurana, Principal Government Ayurveda College, Kurukshetra, with us. We are seeing him for the first time. Respected Anil Johari ji is already there. So maybe if the chair permits me, can I welcome Dr. Vikas to continue with his talk. Dr. Vikas is a very enthusiast when it comes to Ayurveda. He's very enthusiastic and he is full of ideas, and surely he is looking forward to do a lot more. I have been fortunate to have some discussions with him, and I find him full of ideas, and I know many would many would be his brainchild. Maybe Dr. Vikas, please.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Ish Sharma. Can I start, sir?
Yes, please. Yes.
I can't hear you all well properly, you know. It's
Okay. We can hear you very well, Dr. Vikas. Is it better now?
yeah. So, respected doctors and everyone present, greetings from Mauritius. Namaste. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been assigned to talk and elaborate on the segment about the current status of Ayurvedic medicine, about the present situation of Ayurveda in Mauritius. So referring to everything which my colleague, Dr. Radhakeesoon have been saying during his talk. So I think by now all of you must be aware that Ayurveda is legalized in Mauritius. It's being practiced since many years, and we are being successfully able to manage the Ayurvedic health services here in Mauritius. So we have Ayurveda and other traditional medicine act, other legal aspect, which takes care of everything pertaining to the Ayurvedic health services here in Mauritius. It also includes registration of doctors, foreigners and Mauritian doctors. Everything is well in detailed in the Traditional Medicine Act. It englobes also practice of Ayurveda in our republic. And at the level of the Ministry of Health, we have an Ayurvedic committee. The purpose of the Ayurvedic committee is to regulate everything related to importation of Ayurvedic medicine. Like these days, there is a great demand of Ayurveda in Mauritius. There are many Ayurvedic health centers in government and in private. So whenever someone wants to import any medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, be it classical or patent, they have to go through this Ayurvedic committee where they have to send the application, and the committee will give clearance based on everything that they have submitted. Now, when we talk of Ayurvedic health services in Mauritius, I won't say that it is very much developed, but it is still in a growing stage somewhere. But we do have it both at the government level and in private as well. So we are fortunate, in fact, like there are very few countries around the globe where Ayurveda is recognized, where Ayurveda is being legalized, where we are free to practice this system of medicine. And Mauritius is among one of them. And we are working also on the recommendation of World Health Organization, because the WHO and the WHO, World Health Assembly also, they have requested countries to adopt this traditional medicine in their primary healthcare. And we, Mauritius, we have been able to successfully implement it. And in fact, we are already well integrated in the primary healthcare. We have our Ayurvedic centers in almost different parts of the country, in major hospitals, in major health centers around Mauritius. And we started, like Dr. Radhakeesoon, the president of Ayurvedic Association Mauritius, stated that we started in 2004. We were integrated in the Ministry of Health with only one center. And since the number of patients were increasing so much, so it was becoming very difficult to handle the situation. So the government had to decentralize. So right now, at this very point of time, we have six Ayurvedic centers scattered all over the island. And in the near future, we hope to have more centers because demand of Ayurvedic medicine is increasing here in Mauritius. And the main purpose of decentralization is to increase accessibility to patients so that patients don't have to wait for long to get appointment with doctors. It becomes more near to their place where their residence and all. So in total, right now in Mauritius, we have 15 Ayurvedic doctors who are registered with the Traditional Medicine Board, with the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Out of these 15 doctors, 8 of us, we are in the Ministry of Health. We are providing our services to the Ministry of Health and Wellness. and the rest 7 doctors, they're working in private. And it's good also for me to mention that in Mauritius, right now in Ayurveda, we are only providing OPD services. We are providing only OPD services from 9 to 4, which means we are not providing IPD facility. And clinically, if we see we are doing consultation, we have Panchkarma facilities, there is follow-up of patients, there is free medicines, free lab investigation. This service is being provided by the ministry. So everything is free, right from consultation, follow-up, treatment, medicine, Panchkarma facility, everything is provided for free by the government. We are not even charging any registration fees for the patients. And actually, if we see the statistic, whatever was published by the ministry, it can be observed that there are around 60,000 patients that we Ayurvedic physicians we are treating yearly at all the centers total. And if we see in terms of sick treated, it is more than 100,000 cases that we are seeing annually. And in private, basically, we do have private Ayurvedic clinics and consultation all over the islands. We have many NGOs, just like Dr. Radhakeesoon had mentioned, Human Service Trust, which is offering Ayurvedic services. We have Ayurvedic pharmacies, special Ayurvedic pharmacies, which means they are not dealing with modern medicine, allopathic medicine. They are selling only Ayurvedic medicines, be it patent, be it classical medicines. And the good news is that even right now, there are many modern pharmacies, which means allopathic pharmacies, where they are stocking patent Ayurvedic products, which means the demand of Ayurveda is increasing. That's why the need is being felt to stock patented Ayurvedic drugs in these modern pharmacies. And it's also good for me, I think, to mention that even in private, despite we have several Ayurvedic clinics, but we don't have IPD facility. So we are looking forward with the collaboration of the government of India, Dr. Kr Sharma, who has been sent here as a government person, as a chair at the University of Mauritius. Looking forward to having hospitals maybe very soon. And I know you have already started working on this project. And as far as awareness and sensitization is concerned, a lot of work is being done in this area to create awareness in the field of Ayurveda. Because globally, it is being observed that the number of patients are increasing. Globally, acceptance for Ayurvedic medicine is increasing. When we talk of medicine, it's going through a new concept which is called integrative medicine, where we want to have all system of medicines under one roof, like we say, a one-stop shop. So whichever system of medicine can treat better, so there the patient will be forwarded, will be referred to. And as far as awareness and sensitization is concerned, there is a lot of radio programs which are being done on health issues, on Ayurvedic health services, TV programs on health issues again. There are many newspaper interviews on health issues pertaining to Ayurveda. And we as doctors, we are working with the ministry. The ministry is delegating us to different places to deliver talks on several health topics related to Ayurveda. To different organizations, to different ministries. We are going to many social welfare centers, to schools, to colleges, to universities, to deliver talks. So this is really making a change, bringing a change in this country, because the new mind which is growing up, when we are talking with students, they are coming up with many questions. They always used to think that when we talk of Ayurveda, it's only a bit of we say gharelu nuske, home remedies. But now when we professionals, we are approaching them, we are talking with them, you can see they're coming up with a lot of questions like molecules in plant. So we are able to clear their doubts that no, Ayurveda, it's a whole system of medicine. It's a medical system. It's not only thoda sa neem ka patta le liya, thoda sa tulsi ka patta le liya, yahi Ayurveda nahi hai, usse kahin zyada hai Ayurveda. And there is a big issue here also in Mauritius when we talk of Ayurveda, like acceptance. Acceptance not by the public, but acceptance by the professionals, by doctors from the allopathic fraternity. Since they are not formed, they are, I can say they are ignorant in the field of Ayurveda because they have not studied this subject. So they always feel that Ayurveda, they always consider it as a secondary medicine. But we as professionals, what we are doing, we are trying to bridge the gap. To bridge the gap, we are going to give them a continuous medical education, CPD as well, continuum professional development, where we are talking about different aspects of Ayurveda, different concepts of Ayurveda. We are talking about diseases. We are elaborating on the Ayurvedic terminologies. We are able to clarify things in their mind. Like this, they are able to know in which area of health we can help. We are getting good results, because see, even we cannot claim that we are complete. We need each system of medicine to work. And finally, our aim is to give the best possible treatment to the patient. And as per my clinical experience, I've observed that there are many cases which have not been treated from the allopathic side, and when they have come to Ayurvedic unit, we have got very good results. So we are also doing case discussion with those doctors, with those colleagues, and there are many workshops which are right now being organized by NGO for Ayurveda and for yoga. We are actually celebrating Ayurveda Day. We are actually celebrating Yoga Day every year, and it's on a large scale, on a grand scale. And we have Ayurveda lecture series which are being organized by the Indian High Commissioner here in Mauritius. And also, it's good for me to inform you that the government of India is providing us a lot of financial assistance for the promotion and propagation of Ayurveda. And we are very lucky that we have among us Dr. Ish Sharma, who is the chair of Ayurveda at the University of Mauritius, and he's doing a commendable job because we have been talking about many maybe new concepts which can be applied in the Mauritian scenario. Like right now, we don't have Jaloka therapy. The last time when I had a telephonic conversation with him, we were talking about it, like how we can include Jaloka in Panchkarma so that we can treat that like a diabetic foot ulcer, or like you have a varicose ulcer and many other diseases. And now I'll be talking about education. How Ayurvedic education is going in Mauritius. Basically, like Dr. Radhakeesoon mentioned, we are getting a scholarship from the government of India. There is provision of scholarship by the government of India to Mauritian students for Ayurveda study. And that is being provided by the ICCR scholarship scheme. And second, like we are also training medical and paramedical staff so that they can be posted to the Ayurvedic unit. We are providing training also to the pharmacy technician, those who are being posted in the Ayurvedic pharmacy, to nursing officers, to healthcare assistants, and to other paramedical staff. So to conclude, I can say that Ayurveda is becoming very popular here in Mauritius. It's like going through an age of renaissance, rebirth, we can say. Why I'm saying so, the determinants of progress of Ayurveda is the increase in the number of patients, increased government budget for Ayurvedic medicine. Every year, the budget for Ayurveda, it's keep on increasing. And the amount of money which government is allocating for Ayurvedic health services is increasing. Importation of Ayurvedic products is increasing. And you have provision for medical tourism also being discussed in several government meetings where we are trying like to make Ayurveda a main attraction for tourism in Mauritius, because we should not forget that in Mauritius, tourism is the main economic pillar. So that's why if we will be having Ayurveda, we are looking forward to have a well-set Ayurvedic center, Ayurvedic hospital. So that may reach that aim. And there is an increase in the number of investors from abroad. They want to invest in the Ayurvedic sector here in Mauritius. Now there are many allopathic doctors, which previously they were a bit reluctant to refer patients to the Ayurvedic unit. So now they have started referring patients to the Ayurvedic unit, which is, I think, a plus point for us. And now we are also working on insurance coverage, so that when a patient, suppose he's doing treatment in private, and so he gets covered by his health insurance. And there is an increase in the number of private Ayurvedic centers all over the island, private Ayurvedic consultation, number of Ayurvedic centers, like I said in the beginning, we started with one center and gradually now we are 6 centers all over the islands. And hopefully in the coming years, we are going to have a center of excellence for Ayurveda in Mauritius, which will also act as a center of excellence in the whole, I think, African region. And maybe with that, we can also plan for a university. So over to you, Dr. Ish Sharma. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to express myself on this plateau. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vikas. This was very informative. We are having we welcome Professor Akhilesh from Indore. Then we are having Professor Giriraj from Gujarat, maybe willing to contribute some of his viewpoints. Maybe Dr. Giriraj, can you please unmute and come forward?
नमस्कार सर, सभी लोगों को शुभ संध्या। मॉरिशियस में जो आयुर्वेद के विषय में चर्चा चल रही है, तो मेरे इतिहास को देखते हुए और साथ में आयुर्वेदिक ऐतिहासिक लोगों को हम देखते हैं, तो मॉरिशियस के लिए हमें थोड़ा एक कॉन्सेप्ट मेरे दिमाग में आ रहा है। हालांकि आप लोग बहुत विद्वान लोग हैं और ये प्रोसेस चल रहा होगा पहले से ही, लेकिन मुझे ये लगता है कि जो भारतीय उपमहाद्वीप है, वहां पर पोषण की जो एनवायरमेंटल जो फैक्टर है वो और रसद भाव है, न्यूट्रिशनल फैक्टर्स हैं, वो कुछ डिफरेंट है। इसलिए जो आयुर्वेदिक कॉन्सेप्ट हम भारतीय उपमहाद्वीप में प्रयोग करते हैं, उनसे परे हटकर हमें सोचना चाहिए, जिसमें महत्वपूर्ण रूप से हम समझ सकते हैं कि हमारे षड्भावों की जो चर्चा
Okay, I believe we lost connection with Professor Giriraj. So surely, as he was very rightly stating, that we have to improvise, we have to customize when it comes to various geographies, you know, then surely we have to adapt accordingly. And yes, Giriraj, we will be doing that. That is
Yes.
surely.
Professor Ish, can I say something, Professor Ishji? Can I say something, Professor Ish Sharma ji?
Please, yeah, please come forward.
Yeah. Yes, it's very nice to listen to Dr. Hakori and after that, Dr. Girija. In fact, all our practitioners in Mauritius have have used Mauritius environment and climate before prescribing any treatment to our patient. We have already worked on that. And from the day one we are practicing here, we have taken this into consideration as mentioned in Charak, that is Desh, Kal, और जो मौसम है उस पर हम देख कर तभी अपना ट्रीटमेंट करते हैं. Everyone is practicing in the same line, and it's very good that this concept he has highlighted, and we hope that whenever we are going to do a center of excellence, we are going to put this that is this concept more, valorizing this concept and putting it more forward so that it will be benefit for the whole people.
Thank you, Dr. Radhakeesoon. And anyone may be willing to speak to Dr. Radhakeesoon or maybe comment upon Dr. Vikas' talk, please can unmute and come forward.
I want to, Ish, namaskar. I just want to thank Vikas ji for that one comment or two comments. One comment, the forward-looking vision for a Ayush or a Ayurveda university in Mauritius. That is number one, I want to comment. The second thing, that Mauritius could well become a meeting point for many interests, particularly the financial interests related to health and care for the future. And Mauritius is in an unusually strong position to become a place where you can bring minds from different areas, particularly the fast-growing Africa. Mauritius is one of the member states of WHO Africa, and I feel you are in a very strong position to provide that guidance within the WHO Africa office on herbal medicines, traditional medicines, with the link through India. Sometimes I feel disappointed to say that New Delhi, that hosts the Southeast Asia region office for the World Health Organization, is unable to provide the kind of leadership we expect to see. And even a small nation like Mauritius might be able to do that in a different region. So I don't know, these are longer term thinking, but something, unless we start thinking about it now, we will be losing time and we won't be putting all the people minds together. We need a lot of minds to take this forward, you know. So 2 points, one about the Ayush University in Mauritius. We have here colleagues from Kurukshetra, from the world's first Ayush University. We have Professor Agnihotri here from Uttarakhand University, which is also shaping into a Ayush University because it will have many colleges for all the Ayush disciplines. And clearly somebody like Dr. Radhakeesoon has studied in a prestigious institution in Delhi, Karol Bagh. So we are fortunate that we have minds here who can work together for the future. We have Vikram Singh ji also here. So there are a lot of minds that Pawan ji has brought together who can shape and guide the growth for the future. I'm going to be, again, I sometimes tend to be very undiplomatic here. When I look at the way in which the World Health Organization crafts its policies for traditional medicine, 2023 will come to the end of the current mandate. I think we need people like yourselves, nations like Mauritius, to join in to help shape the next program, the next vision statement for WHO. So I'll leave those as early thoughts. Traditional medicine is very important. Africa has a rich tradition, not as documented as the Indian tradition. And I think your connection with that part puts you in a very strong position for the future. These are early thoughts from my side. Maybe we'll come back again later to touch on all these points. It may not be today because we are always running out of time, but maybe later we will keep in touch. Thank you, Vikas, for that wonderful presentation and highlighting those thoughts.
Thank you, Doctor.
For the future, you know, particularly the future. So working towards maybe start to discuss among yourself about establishing a Pan-African Ayush University in Mauritius or something like that.
Yeah, in fact, it's much needed. What I was thinking is that, like Mauritius here, we are like multilingual. We talk like English, French, Hindi. There are almost no place, or if we have also, it's not well, I will say, not well structured, where they are providing Ayurvedic studies, proper Ayurvedic studies like BMS, MD, PhD. So Mauritius here, since we have this added advantage of being French speaking, so we can plan maybe in the future, if you're having a hospital, we can plan of something like having an Ayurvedic college where the syllabus, everything will be in French. So that will be an added advantage for the propagation of Ayurveda in the French speaking countries. Because people who speak French, they find it very difficult to come to India and to study Ayurveda in English. So that's one thing maybe we can work on.
Wonderful. You're already thinking about it. I think together with Ish and all the senior people there, I think this is an important point for discussion to take Ayurveda into the French Francophile countries, particularly parts of Africa. The second thing I want to say, please do follow the work from our Ayush professor in Argentina, who's looking after the Hispanic world. You know? So we have to be strategic in terms of the languages, the WHO languages. Thank you, Vikas. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir.
Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Professor Madanji, and really very rightly highlighted, because the WHO strategy upon traditional medicine is like expiring in 2023, and we are really short of time. If we do not propose any structured Ayurveda module by 2024, then we would be gone for next 10 years. Then we will be speaking to them in like 2034. So we are very short in time. We have to propose something from every part of the world to reflect that all the world requires Ayurveda. We have got Dr. Madanji, and then we have got our friends also from NIA Jaipur as Dr. Asit Panja, and we have got Dr. Geeta, who are already there, who are working with the WHO, and they can be really instrumental when it comes to like incorporating Ayurveda at a global level. And the world needs Ayurveda. We have seen the way the modern medicine is progressing, the lacunae being discovered, and the quality of life being depreciated. It is, we are not seeing any rise in quality of life. So we have to find an alternative, and there cannot be a better alternative than surely the future belongs to Ayurveda. I'll be welcoming Dr. Pawan ji for his comments upon Dr. Vikas' talk.
Means just informative, inspiring and motivating. Young, dynamic fellow, but what confidence I have observed, really, that is appreciable. And I wish him all the best for future. Be great, think great, and definitely every dream will be fulfilled. It is God's grace. God bless.
Thank you, sir,
Excellent.
for your blessings.
I would like to invite now Professor Ish Sharma.
Also, I'll take liberty to bother you to welcome the newly joining persons as and when they join. I may not be knowing all, so maybe you can please kindly welcome them.
Okay, sure. This platform is yours, Dr. Ish. You don't have to take permission from me.
Dr. Ish ji, namaskar.
हरीश जी प्रणाम
प्रणाम सर, सभी आचार्यों को प्रणाम। आज मैं थोड़ा बाहर हूँ, टेलीफोन से ही बात कर रहा हूँ। तो हाँ, तो सर दो क्वेश्चन थे। डॉक्टर मैंने विकास जी को सुना, बहुत कमाल की इंफॉर्मेशन उनके पास है। और डॉक्टर ईश जी अगर हमारी थोड़ी हेल्प कर सके, इज देयर एनी डॉक्यूमेंट जिसमें आपने गवर्नमेंट के साथ मिलकर के जो रेगुलेशंस तैयार किए हैं?
We have got the act, sir. मैं आपको act की कॉपी भेजूंगा।
हाँ, नंबर
37 of 1989 मॉरिशस में जो अल्टरनेटिव मेडिसिन का एक्ट है, I'll send you the copy, sir.
हमें डॉक्टर ईश जी, हम लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि जैसे कल हमारी बात हुई थी कि यूनिटी इज रिक्वायर्ड टू गेट आयुर्वेदा प्रैक्टिस रेगुलेटेड आउटसाइड इंडिया। तो मॉरिशस में ऑलरेडी अगर रेगुलेशन है तो हम उस मॉडल को स्टडी कर सकते हैं, एंड वी कैन रेप्लिकेट सेम मॉडल ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड। क्योंकि आउटसाइड इंडिया जो रेगुलेशंस होंगे वो थोड़े जुरिस्डिक्शन से बाहर होंगे, इंडिया की जुरिस्डिक्शन से। तो लेट अस एनालाइज कि आप लोगों ने क्या क्या काम किया है। इफ यू कैन शेयर द डॉक्यूमेंट कंप्लीटली, तो वो डॉक्यूमेंट को हम बहुत रिफाइन करके पूरे 130 कंट्रीज में सब अपने कोलीग्स को दे सकते हैं, जिससे रेगुलेशन में हेल्प होगी। मतलब पर्टिकुलरली प्रैक्टिस के लिए जो स्कोप ऑफ प्रैक्टिस है इन एवरी कंट्री। और जैसे हमने कल बात की थी, मैंने अपने वेबिनार के बाद डॉक्टर मदन जी से भी बात की कि हमें एक छोटा कोर्स प्लान करना चाहिए फॉर आयुर्वेदा प्रैक्टिशनर्स आउटसाइड इंडिया। छोटा कोर्स जिसमें, और वो जो कोर्स हम लोग प्लान करें मे बी 1000 आवर्स का कोर्स हो, एंड इट कुड बी ए पार्ट टाइम कोर्स। और इसका जो करिकुलम है वो हम RAV के साथ मिलकर के वी कैन डिसाइड कि व्हाट शुड बी द करिकुलम। अभी जो RAV का डॉक्यूमेंट मैंने कल स्टडी किया था, उसमें 17 कोर्सेज वो लोग ऑफर कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आयुर्वेदा प्रैक्टिशनर का कोर्स नहीं है। हमें आयुर्वेदा प्रैक्टिशनर के ऊपर, पर्टिकुलरली आयुर्वेदा प्रैक्टिशनर्स आउटसाइड इंडिया, एक छोटा कोर्स जो 1000 घंटे का हो, बस वो हम प्लान करें। उसके लिए हम सभी लोग मिल करके उसको डिसाइड करें कि व्हाट शुड बी द करिकुलम एंड व्हाट शुड बी द स्कोप ऑफ प्रैक्टिस। फिर धीरे धीरे बड़े कोर्सेज की बात भी हम कर सकते हैं कि जैसे BMS का कोर्स है, MD है, PhD है, वो बात की बात है। लेकिन छोटा कोर्स एक प्लान करें। उसके लिए जो आपकी रेगुलेशन प्राइमरी हेल्थ केयर के लिए, हाउ यू कन्विंस द गवर्नमेंट, वो एक बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है सबके लिए। मैंने यहाँ पर ओंटारियो हेल्थ में 2 मीटिंग्स की, उनका मैंने लास्ट टाइम मेंशन भी किया था। दे आर आस्किंग द क्वेश्चन, द रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटीज, वो सब जगह एक ही क्वेश्चन होगा, दे विल आस्क व्हाई यू नीड रेगुलेशन, इफ आयुर्वेदा इज सो गुड, सो पब्लिक फ्रेंडली, व्हाई यू नीड रेगुलेशन। तो वो जो व्हाई यू नीड रेगुलेशन का आंसर हमें बहुत प्रोफेशनल तरीके से प्लान करना पड़ेगा, जिससे कोई डैमेज भी ना हो लेकिन रेगुलेशंस भी आ जाए। क्योंकि अगर हम अपनी तरफ से उनको बोलेंगे अथॉरिटीज को कि जी आयुर्वेदा में मरकरी होता है, आर्सेनिक होता है, लोग अनक्वालिफाइड लोग इसको ऐसे यूज करते हैं, ऐसे करते हैं, वो कई तरह के और क्वेश्चंस उसमें निकलेंगे फिर। तो इसलिए हमें बहुत ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग करनी पड़ेगी इसका आंसर ढूंढने के लिए कि हाउ टू प्रेजेंट अवर केस टू द अथॉरिटीज, व्हाई दे नीड टू गेट आयुर्वेदा रेगुलेटेड इन देयर कंट्री। इसके ऊपर हम लोग पूरी एक ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग करें और एक छोटा कोर्स प्लान करें, और अगर आपके पास कोई डॉक्यूमेंट है काइंडली वो शेयर करें, जिससे हम और उसको आगे डेवलप कर सकें। Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
We are having Dr. Anil Johri ji there to respond to your query, please. Anil sir, please, if you can unmute.
Yes, namaskar. Actually, I raised my hand for something else, but now that Dr. Harish has said something, I'll respond to him as well. First thing that I noticed 3 things. One, that Mauritius has an Ayurveda Act, which is great actually. Second, that the request for a O-level and A-level course, and the third, a wish list that there should be an Ayurveda university in Mauritius. So what I have done is I have conveyed all 3 to Secretary Ayush here right away. And the first one, I said, institutionally in India, we should have this information somewhere available, readily available, that which countries are recognizing Ayurveda, which countries have a legal framework for Ayurveda, etc. So for the first one, he immediately responded by saying, I will get it done. Second and third also I have conveyed to him. So that is the reason why I raised my hand. But then I heard Dr. Harish Verma, and I wanted to say something. Well, what he's saying is 2 parts. One, he said about the Ayurveda course. So I would suggest that he has a look at that document which is on RAV website, which has a higher proficiency Ayurveda course of 800 hours. There are levels of courses. Of course, I am not an Ayurveda expert, so I can't tell you which course means what, but I can certainly tell you, since I am involved with it, RAV, that basic Ayurveda course curriculum has been developed. It's part of the document which is on the website, and the highest course available is 800 hours. So please have a look at that, whether that is sufficient for somebody abroad to be able to practice Ayurveda, especially if he happens to be already an allopathic doctor. So whether that is sufficient. Second part on regulation. Well, I don't think you have to be defensive about regulation in any place. Frankly, any product which is a medicine, called a medicine, whether it's Ayurveda or modern medicine or homeopathy or Siddha, ought to be regulated, because that's provided for in WTO regime itself, that any product which has health or safety implications, there are 5 grounds given in TBT agreement: health, safety, environment, deceptive trade practice, and national security. So easily under health ground, all drugs come in, and therefore having a regulation is a necessity. I mean, you would be surprised that till recently, India did not have regulation of medical devices. We are still in a transition phase, and even today, several of the medical devices, including PPEs, which are so talked about in this COVID time, including ventilators, which are so talked about in this COVID time, including pulse oximeters, which are so talked about in COVID time, are as of today unregulated in India. So, and now, of course, we are in transition. By 1st October 2023, all medical devices. This is only to cite an example that any product which has health implications. In commerce, I have been engaged. I am still engaged with the Department of Commerce on trade issues. And I made a presentation to Commerce Minister in July of 2017. And one of the issues that I highlighted was the deficit in technical regulations India has. India has about 15% of regulations that Europe has. So our market is open to people to send anything here because there's no regulation. So, the only point I'm trying to make to Dr. Verma is that we do not have to be defensive about it. Regulation does not mean that something is wrong with Ayurveda, so we want a regulation. It's a government's responsibility to regulate any product which has health implications. And therefore, to give confidence to people that this will not harm them, having a regulation is necessary. So to my mind, that should be the approach, and we should not be defensive about the fact that saying that we need regulation means something's wrong with Ayurveda. No, that's not the intent. That's not the entire regulatory regime is built around government's responsibility to protect people's health and to provide them safe products and protect their health. So I think that's the argument line of argument we should take. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Madan sir, for your comment, please. You already put forward the act in the chat box. Madan sir, please.
Ishji, sorry, Radhakeesoon, I just wanted to highlight that the power of these discussions. Number one, you mentioned about we were not aware about this Ayurveda Act. So only out of this discussion has this come out that there is a document and there is an act, and we can now study this. So all of us can study this document. And in terms of, I just want to, Ishji and Pawanji, with your permission, with just on Anilji's comment and Harishji's comment. Harishji's comment, my understanding, which is the same difficulty we have here in Europe, it is that there are many people here who are calling themselves practitioners of Ayurveda or Siddha who don't have the qualifications, you see, and this causes a difficulty here because they might engage in certain practices that are, which only a skilled Vaidya or a Siddha Vaidya or a Unani practitioner is qualified to do, you see. And there are some dangers here. And I think maybe if we open up that space a little bit sometime later with Anilji, just with a few examples, I think Harishji will offer those examples and then see how we can resolve that problem. And then identify scope of practice. So in earlier discussions, we discussed in this forum about mercury and rasaushadhis. And one of the comments that came out is that rasaushadhis should never be prescribed, should always be prescribed, never be as a OTC. You know, Ishji, you will be aware of this. The power, these are medicines, and when they are medicines, there is a conflict here. I think this is contained in Anilji's comment that we don't have those kind of regulations in India, even in India. And maybe a little bit of thinking there will clarify some of these points. There are many, many other areas, you know, practice, who can do panchakarma, you know, basti can be dangerous. It's a standard procedure, but if you don't know the side effects of certain things and the health, then they can turn out to be very dangerous. I think Harishji has one example of somebody doing a Uttaravasti, and these are very dangerous procedures. And, I think Anilji, with a slightly more open, elaborate discussion, perhaps we can have this at some point, just to reconcile this issue of practice in new lands outside India, where people without degree are seen to be practicing, and how much qualification should they have for practice, number one, and what are those areas? What is the scope of practice? If somebody has done X number of hours, what are the kind of things they can do, and at what point is there a boundary, and where should they go to people, skilled people, you know, who've had 6, 8, 10, 11 years of training in Ayurveda? So that is a gray area. I think Anilji, a little more detailed discussion outside, clearly it has come up in today's meeting, but we will find some time outside the context of today's discussion, just to go back into those points. And I think what was Vikas's presentation today was very interesting, because even today in Mauritius, my understanding is that it's only, Ayurveda is only offered as OP, outpatients, and you still don't feel, I don't know, you can correct me, because what are the most complicated conditions you would handle? Would you be able, would you feel confident to handle intervertebral disc prolapse, you know, Katigraha, for instance?
Yes, sir. We are doing it in collaboration with our allopathic doctors, and there is a free way to refer patients to hospital, because we are attached in a hospital.
Yes, there is an echo coming from your, I think there are two, you have two systems running there perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are working in collaboration with our allopathic doctors when we are doing treatment, sir. And we are being offered all the facilities of a modern hospital, and for any pathological examination. So we can do it without any hindrance. And if we need the involvement of other doctors also, so we go for it.
Thank you.
And there are cases, like I said during my talk, that Ayurveda in itself, it's not complete. So there are many areas where we feel we cannot help. So we are very straightforward with the patient, because we refer the patient directly to the concerned department.
Both of you, Anilji, Radhakeesoon, I just wanted to add this, that when we look at India, there is a stipulation that every Ayurveda college must have at least a 60 to 100 bed hospital, and they must be conducting X number of interventions in these places. And when we go to some of the older institutions, you might see 500, 600 bed hospitals where very complex interventions are being carried out, you know. Now, that level of mastery is found in India. Go to DSU, for instance, or go to National Institute of Ayurveda, Jaipur. They're doing very complex interventions there, you know. Whether that level of mastery can be taken out of India, how long will it take, what are those skills? I think these are all the points that Harishji is highlighting. So I'll leave it there, that there will be a kind of a time lag between everybody is, for instance, when the first heart transplant was done by Christian Barnard in South Africa, it was a long time before that. People found the confidence to take these techniques out. That's a very high-end technique, you know. Or liver transplants being done here by Sir Roy Khan. It's a very special technique. When are we talking about those kind of skills in Ayurveda? You know, maybe some aspects of Panchakarma, Nasya, for instance. You know, it's a very important technique and a very powerful technique. How is it to be administered? Who will administer Nasya? Can a person with 200 hours of training understand all those intricacies of Nasya? Simple procedure where there are so many variations, you can have so many different amounts you administer in Nasya. So these are details that are found in practice in India. How much of it is portable to new locations? So these are all, I think Harishji's mind is running along those kind of questions. Sitting in Canada, he's seeing a different perspective on this problem. I leave it there.
Radhakeesoon want to say something, sir.
Sure, I'll leave it there. Thank you, Radhakeesoon. Thank you for.
Yes, thank you. We have been interacting. A lot of ideas has come up. Regarding this act, well, Government of India was very well aware about this act, because this act in Mauritius has been drafted by Government of India itself. There was an advisor of Ayurveda, Dr. S.K. Mishra, who came in Mauritius in 88, 89, and he drafted the act. The present act is a quite, we can say, copy-paste of the Central Council Indian Medicine Act. Right now, we in Mauritius, we are working on a second phase of the act, a new act on Ayush. Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, Homeopathy is in preparation, is under preparation, and we hope that the government will bring that act during this year itself. And there has been a commitment from our minister to bring a new act so that to take all the problems that we have encountered during the present act, especially malpractices and underrated practice, to be regulated. As you know, regulation is mainly meant to protect the patient, not the doctor. So here the conflict comes. Regulation is very important because it's a base for protecting the patient and to make the patient confident that the practice of such medicine is safe to me and will not lead to any complication. So we can work regulation, and each regulation of each country will be different, and we can also work on a global parameters of regulation where we have some core regulation for every country. In each and every country will be the same, and some variation according to your country needs and demand. And I think regulation, especially for Ayurvedic medicine, is very, very important because we, with our experience, Dr. Vikas is here, we know from India, many times we have experienced unexpected thing from manufacturers and the quality of medicine and the expectation. I give you a simple example. When we take, let's say, Kanchnar Gogol, or in simple for as Power Classic, we expect such result in such many such a time stop with that patient. But unfortunately, Vikas has also experienced, we are prescribing this medicine for the same time of period, and we are not finding any response or very little response from the patient. The patient is following all the advice, he is compliant. Now the problem will be definitely that the medicine is of poor quality. And here comes the picture of regulation. And regulation is, in my opinion, we have to make a global regulation of Ayurveda so that Ayurveda will be given the push to the zenith, so that it can once again becomes the global that is health system of the world. It is right time. If we prepare good regulation for the have all the stakeholders, definitely Ayurveda will take off.
Thank you very much, Dr. Radhakeesoon. Thank you very much. And Madanji, your comments, please, or we can continue. You are muted, sir.
Anilji wants to add something.
Anilji wants to say something.
Yes. Yes, let me go backwards. First, respond to Dr. Radhakeeson's suggestion about having regulations. Certainly, as I said, I'm pretty clear that any product which has health implications ought to have regulations. It's not to degrade that product, that there is something wrong with the product, but to make sure that whatever is delivered is safe for safe for the people. Of course, regulation making is always a cumbersome job in any country, I guess. Takes time, but I can only tell Mr. Dr. Radhakeesoon that while I was in Quality Council of India, at the instance of Department of Ayush, at that time it was called Department of Ayush, now it's called Ministry of Ayush. In 2009, we designed a voluntary certification scheme for Ayush products, which is in vogue, which is available. So, I mean, it's pending regulation. I have been advising even Government of India when in my interactions, commerce, that pending regulation, let's bring in a voluntary system. So at least, if you incentivize that system, some quality will come in. So my suggestion would be to look at that scheme. It's on the QCI website, and see whether the manufacturers in Mauritius could adopt that, number one. And two, when you procure, of course, when you procure from India, it will be licensed unit in any case. But if you wish for a higher quality, because we had two levels there, one is called Ayush Standard Mark, which is based on domestic regulatory requirements, and one is Ayush Premium Mark, which is based on WHO GMP, as well as contaminants, the limits of contaminants, which should be internationally acceptable. And it rules out the metallic based preparations because there's no WHO GMP for metallic based preparations. So WHO Premium, Ayush Premium Mark is only available for the herbal medicines. So my suggestion would be that pending regulation, we should go for any country. My suggestion to any country would be that pending regulation, don't wait for regulation to come for 5 years. It's much easier to install a voluntary system. Incentivize that from the government in public procurement, in terms of assistance to MSMEs, there are a variety of ways. Ministry of Ayush issued an advisory to all states that they should procure for public procurement either WGMP compliant or Ayush premium mark certified manufacturer. So that incentivized WHO GMP compliance or Ayush premium mark. So that would be my suggestion to Dr. Radhakeesoon. The second part of Professor Madan's about practitioners, I think I mentioned in one of the programs recently that the idea of certifying Ayurvedic practitioners outside India, because within India it is legally mandated that you have to have a BAMS degree. But outside India, that idea is already accepted by the government. And if you see the notification, which was issued in December 2019 regarding RAV, it gives them both the mandates: A, to standardize the trainings and accredit training courses, and B, to certify Ayurveda professionals, which includes, because when I say certification, let me explain because I designed the scheme here, or rather I was a team leader for designing the yoga certification scheme here, as well as traditional healers certification scheme. That when you are dealing with a system where people have undergone different kinds of training and in different ways they have acquired the knowledge, not in a standardized fashion as in India you have a BAMS degree, but outside India somebody has done certain hours of course, somebody has done longer course. I remember in Portugal they are running a four-year course also. So so what we call recognition of prior learning is easier done by not having a training program, which is needed, of course, for future, that standardized training so that everybody can undergo that kind of curriculum and be qualified. But for recognition of prior learning, the best way is to do what we call in our language, I come from the quality field, personal certification. I mean, it's there for welders, it is there for several other things, several other professions. So what we are thinking, what is mandated to RAV is to design a personal certification program for Ayurveda professionals, which would not prescribe what kind of training or course you should have undergone, but would say that this is the knowledge and skill you need if you have to be qualified to administer Ayurveda medicine. And you would be evaluated against that. And that evaluation method will depend on the complexity. Like I gave an example, that in case of yoga, it has to be necessarily a physical, not only a written test, but also a demonstration of yoga skills. Whereas in case of good clinical practice, it's only knowledge, so an examination is sufficient. Or in case of traditional healers, because it's a very risky proposition, we have even visit to the traditional healer's place of practice to see how he practices, to what is his impact on the community, etc. So different models are possible. So going forward, just to inform you that it's very much in RAV's agenda. It's part of the notification that was issued in December 2019. We first started with this accreditation program for the training courses because that seemed to be a priority for Ministry of Ayush. But next should be designing a program of what we call personal certification, in which variety of professionals in Ayurveda, including people outside India who could administer Ayurvedic medicine based on the knowledge they may have acquired already. Several of them have already done certain trainings. They are allopathy doctors, and on top of it, they have done something. So that is coming. All I can say is that is coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, Madan sir.
Right. Thanks to Anilji for elaborating. There are things being considered, and there are things already there, but other things are also being considered. Thank you, Namaskar. Thank you for elaborating.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Pawan sir.
Yes. Please continue, Isji.
Okay.
You are now the hero of the day, man of the match. You have introduced me dignitaries like Radhakeesoon ji, Vikas ji, and really great. Nice. And I would like to request you all NRIs that please help me. 10 and 16 of February is allocated for Global Ayush Series. Whatever country you want, please suggest me for 10th or 16th February. Please.
Right.
Thank
ji.
you. Easy. I would like to welcome now Ayush Sharma ji,
Yes,
the
sir.
chair in Mauritius University and professor from here. Welcome. Welcome, doctor.
Thank you, sir. And I was just observing the chat box. Professor Giriraj Sharma did comment, which we really could not listen to him because of this audio disturbance. And Dr. Radhakeesoon already answered that Yukti Purvak application of Ayurveda is really imperative, and everyone does that. So whenever Giriraj has to mention Dr. Radhakeesoon ji, whenever we are applying Ayurveda outside India, then seeing the geography, seeing the population, the demography, and we should be very judicious, and a complete application of Yukti is very much mandatory, which we all understand and we all follow that. So taking the discussion forward, so the three segments were like the history of Ayurveda in Mauritius, the present, and now the future. We had very wonderful discussions, and we had a very active participation from Anil sir, which is the biggest bonus of the day. So I move forward to I being the last speaker of the day. Mauritius is a very special country when it comes to Ayurveda for India. This is the only country which has got Ayurveda doctors in the government service, apart from the Indian subcontinent countries. This is the only country, this is the first country where the government of India did send an Ayurveda chair. There is no other country having Ayurveda chair as of today. Next week, we'll be having one Ayurveda chair at Latvia, where Dr. Pridarshini will be joining. We expected her to be with us. She was supposed to be with us today, but somehow she got occupied, I believe. So Mauritius surely is a very special place, and the topic you very rightly chose, Pawanji, that scope and practice of Ayurveda in Mauritius. Now, what future holds for Ayurveda in Mauritius is the most ambitious project, which already mentioned by Dr. Vikas, is a government-to-government understanding between the two prime ministers to come up with a center of excellence. There would be a big Ayurveda hospital coming up, for which 12 acres of land has already been earmarked. The first phase of proposal, what would we be having in the first phase? The manpower and the construction has already been proposed to the Ministry of Health. The second phase would be having a more elaborated hospital, and the third phase would be having an Ayurveda college. So we'll be the day is not far when we'll be having BAMS being delivered to the Mauritian citizens and the students from Africa continent. Along with the development, we surely, that goes without saying, will be also maturing the human resources when it comes to pharmaceutical services in Ayurveda and nursing services. And there is a huge need for a big pharmaceutical company to come up for the production of Ayurveda medicines on a very big commercial level, which can supply to the African countries' needs as well. So this hospital and college coming up is the biggest project we are eyeing, and which is going to materialize very, very soon, we believe. Now, what, as a chair, what proposals we have got, what Government of India has proposed to be executed in Mauritius? I'm supposed to communicate with the Ayurveda doctors and with the Western doctors to carry out various clinical and medical researches. I have undertaken 4 talks with the Western doctors, and they are very much ready to undertake researches upon diabetes mellitus, antiviral research, wound healing, and then psychiatric disorders. These are the 4 Western doctors which are very much keen to take up these researches based upon Ayurveda medication, Ayurveda protocols. Then having a lot of discussions with Dr. Vikas upon what researches can the Ayurveda doctors take up. Then Dr. Vikas has got a whole lot of plan that every Ayurveda center, there are 6 Ayurveda government clinics. Every clinic can take up 1 or 2 studies, and we'll be assisting them, we'll be helping them, guiding them. And so we see this clinical research, medical research coming up in a big way in Mauritius through Ayurveda protocols. This is very, very, very pleasing information, and we are not far from that day. Another very important thing what we are undertaking as an maybe Ayurveda chair is Mauritius has got 3 times the world diabetic population. The world average is around 9%, but the Mauritian average is more than 22% when it comes to 30 plus age group. So they are 3 times in world as compared to world diabetic concentration. So we are targeting that Ayurveda should be introduced at school level so that the kids can correct their diet and lifestyle, so that they do not become future patients of diabetes mellitus and other lifestyle disorders. So I have spoken regarding this to Honorable Education Minister, that is the Vice Prime Minister of this country. She is very much okay with the idea. Education Ministry is very much okay. We have to formally present this so that the schools can be having Ayurveda education, especially Ahar Vihara and Dincharya. We may not be like starting with Ayurveda medication for them. Then Ayurveda chair has got to do a lot about general awareness, Ayurveda awareness in the public. We are delivering like multiple television radio talks where we talk about Ayurveda Ahar Vihara, and there are multiple takers for this. Will you believe, whenever we deliver an Ayurveda talk on television, people would be going to the television center, procuring our phone number from there and then contacting us. Okay, sir, you were telling something, please guide us more, because we do require this. So dietary and lifestyle corrections are the most important needed to curb this menace of non-communicable diseases. That is another very big burden which we have to lighten, which we have to carry forward and offload the health ministry. More than 80% of the health budget of maximum countries goes into non-communicable diseases management. So Ayurveda is the only hope where we can cut short upon this huge financial burden. Then chair has got also an activity where we would be upgrading the skills of Ayurveda doctors when it comes to Panchkarma. It could be the Ayurveda doctors could be from the private arena or could be from the government services. I have already discussed many a time with Dr. Radhakeesoon ji and Dr. Vikas. How can we plan a curricula where Panchkarma training would be delivered? And because interestingly, all the government Ayurveda centers in Mauritius are called like XYZ Ayurveda and Panchkarma center, but they are not delivering much of Panchkarma. But the day is not very far when after a short training, because all are BMS and MD from Jamnagar and BHU, after a very brief training, they would be very expert at delivering Panchkarma. So that would be a great sea change where Dr. Vikas is very concerned that we should not be pitching Ayurveda as a neem le lo, tulsi le lo, thoda ye kha lo, thoda wo kha lo, preventive, spa, wellness. No, he is a very hardcore physician in his being, Dr. Vikas, and he time and again would be telling me, we have to pitch Ayurveda as a real medical system. Of course, we are very much concerned with the prevention. There is no culture, no medical text richer than Ayurveda when it comes to preventive medicine. That is the forte, that is the mainstay of Ayurveda. But going beyond, we have to be very medical and we have to undertake all types of patients by the end of the day. Because kalasya kutlah gati, the काल का किसी को पता नहीं है, जैसे उस व्यक्ति को इनक्योरेबल डिजीजेस आई हैं, कैंसर्स आ गए और बीमारियां आ गई, तो वैसे ही चिकित्सा हमारा कर्तव्य है. जैसा एक श्लोक जैसे बोला गया है, यावत नास्ति निरेंद्रिय तावत चिकित्सा कर्तव्य कालस्य कुटला गति. जब तक वो बिल्कुल निरेंद्रिय नहीं हो जाता है तब तक चिकित्सा करना हमारा कर्तव्य है. बिकॉज कभी भी जो है the wheel of fortune can change anytime. So we have to keep attempting as a real medical practitioner. Then after I spoke to High Commissioner of India, Her Excellency Madam Nandini Singla ji. She is a very die-hard fan of Ayurveda. She has got wonderful experiences with Ayurveda. And I can assure you, all the high commissions, all the ambassadors are very much open to Ayurveda. They have got allocated budgets for Ayurveda, as pointed out by an earlier speaker. We have to reach out to Ayurveda ambassadors and the Indian ambassadors and the Indian high commissioners in your countries. And they will be receiving you like anything and they will be ready to help you out. And that is where we can really start to implement Ayurveda as a real medical care system. And there could be more recognition in waiting. As of today, we know 18 countries fully recognize Ayurveda, 12 give a partial recognition, 115 countries have got some regulations upon traditional medicine, 107 countries have got an office, a government office to give first-hand information about traditional medicine, and 75 countries have got research institutes dedicated to traditional medicine. So we can very quickly reach out to these like 115 countries which are readily waiting for us. If we plan a strategy, Pawanji, if we plan a real good curriculum and we reach out to them through RAV and Ayush ministry, then surely they are waiting, they are ready to receive us. And that is where Ayurveda would take a next giant leap. Future of Ayurveda, then we have got one more proposal here is that, as rightly pointed out by Dr. Vikas, tourism is the mainstay of Mauritian economy. I'm in discussion with the head of the Sustainable International Tourism, Mr. Robin over here. I'll be speaking to him where we have to make a very niche position when it comes to tourism in Mauritius. Then we plan to pitch it as a health tourism, where all the tourist outlets, all the spas, all the hotels, their manpower would be trained, would be given a Panchkarma training, and the world over persons would be coming to Mauritius for Ayurveda and health tourism. It would be the best of both worlds. Now they are coming for the tourism where Mauritius is best in the world, and they are also, the byproduct is, they're also getting rid of their health conditions. So we'll be giving the technical training to the spa workers, spa technicians. They are giving massages, they are giving any massage from any video. They are not trained. So we'll be certifying them, we'll be giving them a little training, could be 50 hours, 100 hours or 200 hours, that is still to be finalized. And then they can display that our spa is recognized by the government of Mauritius for this particular type of Ayurveda Abhyanga or Ayurveda therapies, maybe Nasya or maybe some Panchkarma therapies. So this can give a big jump to the Mauritian economy through tourism. That again is a very potential scope which we have got. Apart from this, I am regularly teaching Ayurveda to various ongoing courses. It could be MBBS, it could be BSc Occupational Therapy, BSc Nutritional Sciences. I am teaching Ayurveda to the regular medical and paramedical students and scholars from the University of Mauritius. The Vice Chancellor has been very kind in passing the letter to all the departments that we now have an Ayurveda chair. Everyone should communicate with the Ayurveda chair. And will you believe I am receiving communications from the Department of Mathematics, from the Department of Agriculture, Department of Paramedical and Health Sciences. Everyone is ready to collaborate, and will be requiring a huge manpower. And I will be really looking forward, because we really have got a very big onus, a very big responsibility to cater Ayurveda to all of the world. Mauritius is the hotspot when it comes to propagation of Ayurveda to Africa. And we, with the Association of Ayurveda Physicians and the Ayurveda Medical Officers, with the cooperation from the Ministry of Health and all the stakeholders in Mauritius, we are very much positive that all the 58 countries will be having some degree of Ayurveda recognition in the coming years. And Dr. Radhakeesoon did also propose, when we come up with an Ayurveda college, Mauritius being a small country, we might not be having 50-60 students every year coming to study BMS in the Ayurveda college at Mauritius. That would be the time when we'll be having the students coming from the African countries to study Ayurveda over here. Dr. Vikas rightly pointed out, we have to translate, if not all, then a lot of literature to French language, where we can reach out to multiple countries where French is the main language. Maybe I'll be taking a small break, Pawanji, for some interaction, then we go forward. Over to you, Pawanji, for some questions from the audience, if they have got some.
Excellent, ईश जी, excellent. आपने तो पूरे का पूरा हाइलाइट्स ओवरव्यू कर दिया. मैं आशा करता हूं कि आपके सपने साकार होंगे. निश्चित आपके सपने साकार होंगे. आप लोग वो शक्तियां हैं जो सपने देखते हैं. You dream and you can achieve them, not only dream. So all the best, Dr. Ish. Really great. I would like to invite any question from the audience, dignitaries from the audience. And
thank you, Dr. Sharma, for a wonderful talk. Myself, Professor Dr. Vishnu Sharma.
Thank you, Vishnu.
Assam. So I want to ask you, is Ayurvedic medicine is available in the Mauritius? And regarding Panchakarma also, you have all the facilities and you give treatment both Panchakarma and internal medicine also.
Yes, sir. We the government, the health ministry of Mauritius has recommended 166 medicines to be prescribed by the Ayurveda doctors, and those 166, which I observed at the clinic of Dr. Radhakeesoon, has got the gold preparations and multiple ras aushadhis. And mukta preparations are there, very costly and very, very important. 166 medicines are approved to be used by the Ayurveda doctors. Then we have got every sector has got all the facilities for total panchkarma. A little brushing, a little like a revamping, a little training is required. Then there would be more than 15-20 Ayurveda doctors delivering panchkarma to the Mauritian population and to the tourists coming from all over the globe. Vishnuji.
Achha, very nice, very nice. The doctors are from Mauritius or from India?
Sir, all the doctors are the Mauritian citizens, but they study their BA, MS and MD Ayurveda in India because the Indian government is offering scholarship to them. Any student after a certain qualification, after his 10+2, can go to India and study Ayurveda over there. And all the expenditure, maybe Dr. Radhakeesoon and Dr. Vikas would be better persons to elaborate upon this scholarship scheme. Maybe Dr. Vikas, please.
Hello, sir. In fact, we are getting scholarship every year, which is being published. The scholarship is offered by the government of India, and where you can study BAMS, MD, not only Ayurveda, Unani, homeopathy, Siddha, yoga. So you can select any subject, whichever you want to specialize. Then after you can go for it. Then afterwards, when we come back, like I said, we have to get registered here by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Through the Traditional Medicine Board. It's only once you get registered, then you have the right to practice here in the Republic of Mauritius. So this is how it goes. And as far as you was asking about medication, well, we do have very good quality medicines at our hospitals. Like Dr. IRES Sharma pointed out, we have around 165 to 166 Ayurvedic medicines, including ras aushadhi and many costly items as well. And we have Panchkarma, but since we don't have IPD facilities, so we are giving Panchkarma only at OPD level right now, but looking forward to improve our Panchkarma infrastructure and facility. Thank you, sir.
Okay, very good, very good. Thank you. So medicine you prepared or you carry from India?
No, we don't prepare, sir. We have to buy all our medicines. Basically, they comes from India. It goes through the normal procedure by which the Ministry of Health purchased medicine, which is the bid evaluation committee. So they select the best quality medicine, and then it is being imported from India.
Okay, very good. All the best. Please give good service to the Mauritius.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And spread Ayurvedic knowledge, not only in Mauritius, in most of the countries. Please, thank you. Namaskar. Agnihotriji, namaskar.
Madan sir, please, for your comments, sir.
Namaskar ji, thank you. Now, I'm so, when Pawanji mentioned yesterday about Mauritius and that we will be having a discussion, I couldn't imagine that we would have a discussion that would bring out so much exciting details. Number one, I hadn't realized that we will get such a collection of amazing minds and the presentations and the discussion that we've had today, because you have highlighted so many points that that we hadn't considered. We didn't think about it. One, I want to thank particularly Vikas ji for touching on several key points here. Number one, about, I think Anil ji has taken notes of that, about a slightly bigger footprint for Ayush in Mauritius to help connect with Africa. Number two, I feel, which I hadn't thought about earlier, I should have thought about this before, which is that you are a very special group of people. Vikas ji, you are fluent in French and Hindi and Sanskrit. Isn't that amazing?
French, English, yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
And Creole also, which is our
And
local
Creole.
language.
So this is so amazing because, you know, we don't think about this. We don't when we look at a community, if I wanted to say, well, in the UK, we are fluent in English, so we communicate with India in English, but maybe we will find a lot of people who are fluent in the language barriers, you know. But if I go into Germany, if I want to find somebody who is fluent in Hindi, German, Sanskrit, then it becomes very difficult, because that is the combination we need. You know, we need that linguistic combination. Somebody who can bring. So when we go into the world of Siddha, we need a little bit of Tamil also. And maybe you have the Tamil community there who can speak Tamil, French, and English and understand the Siddha literature. You know? So these are these are certain strengths in Mauritius that you take for granted, but these are extremely important for enabling some, breaking some barriers. Very, very important. So I hope we will highlight these points more and more as we go into some of our discussions. And additionally, very excited that we have a dynamic person like Ish Sharmaji, who is there with you people and taking on so many responsibilities of connecting with ministries, connecting with other groups, and taking leadership in that area, particularly that area about tourism. You know, Mauritius is already a very important tourist destination, but there is so much more that can be done. And the point I mentioned earlier, I think Ishji also touched on this, that the possibility of having manufacturing units, that the point I touched earlier with Radhakeesoon about the growing herbs. Your land is very clean, relatively. You know, when we go to the nearby islands, you still have a lot of clean land. And you are closer to Madagascar. There is a lot of land in Madagascar. And these are all areas where we feel Mauritius becomes a link point for opportunities, which may be difficult to reach out from India. But if you want to go into Africa, it might be much easier to have these kind of operations going on. These are all areas where young students can come to train. They can, you know, you can run a MBA program in Ayurveda. This is something we are discussing here in India. MBA program, business management in aspects of Ayurveda. It's a very specialized area where we need students, ideally some students who have, like Pawan. Pawan is an example, gold medalist and an MBA. So we need more people like this, you know, who see the bigger canvas of health and healthcare and some of those dimensions. So I feel you already have claimed a very important part in the Indian Ocean as a touristic destination. It might take just a few degrees of thinking, a change in thinking, to bring in other strengths into that existing framework that you already have. So thank you, Ishji. Thank you so much for holding all of us together today, and for bringing so many wonderful friends from Mauritius. We are delighted to have you all part of this big family here. And we look forward to these open discussions as we progress. I noticed, Radhakeesoon, before I notice your hands up, before I pass the floor, Dr. Pradeep Kumar wanted to say something. He highlighted his hand earlier, but then dropped it down. So I request Pradeep Kumarji to just to say a few words, and then Radhakeesoon.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Yeah,
कहाँ से बोल रहे हो?
Punjab, India. I am student and colleague of Dr. Ish, sir.
अच्छा, शाबाश.
I am professor in basic principles of Ayurveda in Guru Nanak Ayurvedic College, Sri Muktsar Sahib, Punjab.
Shabash.
And these days, HOD as a street career department. And I am in my own Panchkarma center under supervision of Dr. Ish sir only. And I visited many times with Dr. Ish to Scandinavian countries and myself to Australia, New Zealand, working for Ayurveda only, for globalizing Ayurveda, under supervision of Dr. Ish only. So I was saying one point that when we were discussing that a lot of countries are going on for the Ayurveda courses, or last time when Dr. Ish and we joined one conference for Netherlands only, virtual online, And they were saying that Ayush is going to give them the certification. Anybody wants, just like Dr. East told that from Latvia, somebody was coming, and other places, Portugal is running 4-year course, and where Dr. East was teaching in ISRA in Holland also. Like, if we are going to do this by Ayush, that Ayush is ready to give them the certification, but how it will be possible in their own countries? How their governments will be, if it will be only MOUs with the governments through Ayush, then it will be possible, I think so. Otherwise, if Ayush is saying directly that we are going to provide the certificates or we're going to provide them the stamp paper to practice Ayurveda, if their governments will be ready to do the same, then it will be possible, I think so.
This is a very, I think, very important point. Anil ji has touched on this very briefly. In what Anil ji mentioned was that you need the minimum qualification to practice in India. Is the qualification that you get and is enough for practice in India, is it valuable outside? And this is it is a big conflict. I don't think India will permit a MBBS graduate from America to practice in India. So that kind of across boundary, national boundary practice of medical practice, I don't think it will be permitted. So we have to, this is my feeling, because there are many cultural issues, there are many other aspects that are needed for you to practice effectively. Having said that, there are people who practice. There are people with BAMS from Kurukshetra who are practicing in New York, who've done amazing work for people during the COVID times. Yeah. So there are many people who are doing these wonderful things and have a position in the community already. But I think Anilji has raised his hand. Anilji can elaborate here about this.
Just to provide clarity, first, in India, we have a regulated system, and you have to qualify as per that regulated system to be allowed to practice. That regulated system also prevents an allopathic doctor from practicing Ayurveda unless he goes through another BMS degree. So it's very clear in India, so no confusion. Outside, in some countries, as for example, US that I know of, allow an allopathic doctor to practice alternative medicine. Okay. Now the question is whether that allopathic doctor has sufficient knowledge of Ayurveda to administer Ayurvedic medicine. So what Ministry of Ayush is planning to do is to certify that level of knowledge, that yes, this level of knowledge is sufficient to administer Ayurveda medicine, not in India. India, you have to have BMS degree. So this program will be for only foreign countries. So only thing Ayush will do on a voluntary basis, which means it is not under regulation, under any regulation. The practice in that country will depend on the regulation of that country. If the practice of the regulation of that country does not allow anybody to practice traditional medicine at all, that's it. But if the regulation of that country, there is no regulation and you're allowed to practice traditional medicine, then you may be able. Or like US, if you are an allopathic doctor, you are allowed to practice traditional medicine. We will only certify that his level of knowledge is sufficient, so that there is a official endorsement that knowledge level is sufficient, so that there are no varying knowledges among doctors and people claiming to provide Ayurvedic treatment, but not having sufficient knowledge. That is about all. So we have to be very clear about the regulation part of it and the voluntary part of it. And what is acceptable in a country will depend on what is the law in that country. So this too have to be very clearly understood and addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Anilji. I leave it. If there is Ishji, if I can make one comment, you touched on this issue of diabetes in Mauritius. Please. And there is, when we go into the Caribbean, you have also places, islands. Trinidad, Tobago is one place where there is a big Indian community, maybe the same mix as we have in Mauritius. Again, diabetes is very, very high in that part of the Indian community. And the figures that you have quoted are very, very significant. Number two that you talked about very clearly that came through is about health promotion, health promoting schools. taking it down to the school level, because sometimes prevention, particularly these complex non-communicable diseases, the prevention might have to begin very, very early on in life. So congratulations to you for opening those dialogues there, because this is what we need. We look to your leadership for taking some of those experiences and bringing it to Europe also. This is very, very important what you are doing there. So please let us communicate on this and share whatever you are gaining in and the challenges. Here in Austria, I give you one example. We've done a health survey, 770,000 school children, 90,000 teachers. This is an entire survey for all of Austria. And one of the shocking things we find is incidence of obesity and overweight. 30% of children are obese or overweight, and this is a major problem. And I think unless you catch them at that age and instill some good thinking there, then this will lead on slowly, another 10, 20 years, they are destined to lead to problems. So deeply appreciate. Also, if there is some work that you are doing in Mauritius on cancer prevention and hypertension, then we would welcome to hear your experiences, and that so that we can share it with the wider community.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, Radhakeesoon ji, please.
Yes, what I was telling about regarding Mr. Madan statement concerning medicinal plant, and here we have already formulated this wish that medicinal plant to be cultivated at large scale for importation and for the promotion as well as for industrial purposes. And the Ministry of Agro-Industry is present and taking a survey to see the impact of such implementation among the planters, among the cultivators of who are interested in medicinal plant. One thing I want to share with you that there have been during the past 5 years in Mauritius a massive distribution of medicinal plants among the population. Whenever the government comes in any health melas, health workshop, health seminars or health fair, the public is given free medicinal plants to go and plant in the kitchen. The kitchen pharmacy is being promoted extensively in Mauritius, and especially with our herbs like mint, like coriander, we have rosemary, and a lot of ayapana, that is lemongrass, are very much propagated in Mauritius. And there are many local plants that are used in our folk medicine are also given to the public free of charge, and anyone wants to have planting of Bohemia, Kanchnar at this place can have it. Amla you can have also what we call Ashoka and everything. And one of the amazing things that we may have recalled in Mauritius, in each and every Mauritian yard you're going to find moringa, that is sahijan, that you're going to find moringa in each and every yard. And moringa is one of the wonderful medicine to treat any type of disease, from cancer to fever, for arthritis, for diabetes, it is for obesity. It is a wonderful plant and it is found in Mauritius. The main cause of diabetes that we have been discussing, that it is still in double digit in Mauritius, is due to the change in dietary habits. This is why IRES Sharma is now tackling the root cause of the disease, the dietary habits. The dietary habits of Mauritian, which was traditional before the 80s, have now shifted to the European style of diet, which is the main causative agent of diabetes. And this is a laudable effort that IRES Sharma will be doing with Ahar, Vihar, Dincharya and Ritucharya, and he is going to tackle the root cause. And I think in 5 years time you're going to see that a double digit of diabetes will become single digit, and this is the root cause. And regarding regulation, as many one are expecting, we have seen in the chat box about the practice of Ayurveda outside India. Well, in my opinion, the move to give certification to practice less than 5 years is a bit erroneous, because in Mauritius in our regulation is very clear. Whenever you want to practice any medical things that you claim to be medicine for treatment, your degree should be undergraduate at minimum 5 years plus 1 year of internship. At least minimum of 1 year of internship. So you should have around 6 years of training before you are able to practice any medicine, either it's allopathic or Chinese or Ayurveda. And in this fact, in Mauritius, we have a lot of graduates who are graduated in naturopathy from Europe, but they are not allowed to practice naturopathy as doctors because the degree is of 3 years. So in our country, it is very clear. You should have at least minimum of 5.5 or 6 years course with internship. Then you will be given the title of a doctor, a practicing doctor, whether it is Ayurveda or allopathic. This is clear in our line of action in our legal framework in Mauritius. So anyone doing its BMS from India can practice freely in Mauritius, and the list of universities and that are already in the recognized list. And as soon as we got application from new universities which is not on list, they are recognized through the normal process through our cabinet, and they are included in the list. And this is done now and then as we got candidates from this what we call these universities. And we have to make sure that these universities are in the list of the traditional medicine board before you practice. So it takes a procedural time, minimum 6 months time it takes. So you will be on the list of traditional medicine recognized institution. And regarding, I expect a very positive what we call response from Mr. Madan regarding this O and A level, because this will be the base to promote Ayurveda. If we have O and A level classes from the beginning, then it will be the first step towards international standardization. And we're going to standardize the Ayurveda. Then anyone having the Ayurveda or Ayush as O level or A level, then the person, whether that person do after doing 5 years degrees, you are sure that the person is able to practice Ayurveda. And in Mauritius, we are looking forward with the help of Indian government and Professor AYUSH Sharma to for this training and university course, which is very, very much important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Radhakeesoon. Can I welcome Dr. Pawan Kr Sharma to comment? Dr. Om Prakash ji can unmute and speak if you are available. You were raising your hand. Okay, maybe he could not be available. So maybe with your permission, Madan sir, can we leave this open to all? Yeah, please unmute, sir. Yes.
Ishji, there is somebody, Angela, who has put a very long comment on the chat box. Angela, you are still here with us. We would like to hear a little more from yourself. Angela?
Okay, yeah, may not be there.
Not be there. Okay.
Then VK Agnihotri sir, you were asking something about Ayurveda graduates, sir. Can you please, I could not understand your question. Can we discuss, sir?
I was just writing, I missed a word. Probably you were talking about that you are not Ayurveda graduate, I think.
No, sir, I am, sir. I am Ayurveda graduate, sir.
Okay, that's where my confusion. You are talking.
Anil ji was telling that Anil Johari sir is not from Ayurveda.
Right, that I know. Okay, thank you.
Ishji, could you tell us the 4 areas that you highlighted? You said there were 4 areas. One is diabetes, there is psychiatric mental health,
yes, sir.
Wound healing, and the 4th one was?
Yes, antiviral studies. When I came across the regular Western doctors, then I met one psychiatrist who immediately proposed me 4 psychiatric conditions which he would be undertaking with me for the clinical trials. I met another MD doctor, MD medicine, who wanted to conduct an antiviral study with the Ayurveda herbs. The 3rd one was a scientist who, like, there is a very big institute over here. They have got a scanning electron microscope. They are working wonderfully at a very quality level in wound healing. And they are preparing some nanoscaffolds. So they want to prepare nanoscaffolds through Ayurveda herbs. I'm working with them. And then lastly, there was a group of doctors who want to see the efficacy of noni fruit upon as anti-diabetic effect. There are 3 doctors, and we 4 would be soon working upon noni as anti-diabetic medicine.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, maybe this is open to all. If maybe Dr. Vikramjit Singh Lali or Rameshwari Sharma or Jasmeet Singh, Dr. Devjani Roy, Dr. Giri, anyone having anything to comment, please, you can unmute and talk.
While we wait, reply to Radhakeesoon ji's comment, Anil Johri ji has already picked up those points about the O-level and the A-level courses. So we will follow through the international. Thank you. Vikramjit ji, namaskar ji.
हेलो
Namaskar ji.
नमस्कार जी। बहुत खुशी हुई मुझे ये हमारे जो भाई बंधु हमारी जो इंडियन जो ओल्डेस्ट इंडियन मेडिसिन है उत्थान के बारे में जो चर्चा चल रही है, मैं बहुत तहे दिल से धन्यवाद करता हूँ। खास तौर पे मेरे छोटे भाई जो मेरे क्लासमेट डॉक्टर ई शर्मा बहुत ही रेस्पॉन्सिबल और हार्ड वर्किंग डॉक्टर हैं। वो पहले भी यूरोपियन कंट्रीज में भी काफ़ी सेवाएं दे चुके हैं और इधर प्रिंसिपल रह चुके हैं उधर मोगा में बाबे के आयुर्वेदिक कॉलेज में भी। मैं उनको भी बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं जो आयुर्वेद को प्रमोट करने के लिए जो हमारे जो स्कॉलर्स इतने बड़े डॉक्टर्स कर रहे हैं। मैं बहुत हार्दिक खुशी हुई है मुझे ये मीटिंग मैंने फर्स्ट टाइम अटेंड किया है, तो मैं बहुत तहे दिल से धन्यवाद देता हूँ। थैंक यू।
जुड़ते रहिएगा, जब भी समय मिले जुड़ते रहिएगा।
ठीक है जी। आगे से मैं अभी तो मैंने जस्ट मोबाइल सुबह का अभी देखा था, तो अपना ग्रुप हमारा जो धन्वंतरी ग्रुप है हमारे क्लासमेट्स ने बनाया, तो मैंने देखा जी आईडी आई थी जूम मीटिंग की, तो आगे से तैयारी करेंगे। जो पहले पता चलेगा थोड़ा बहुत बोलेंगे अभी तो मैंने जरूर शब्द बोल दिए हैं। बहुत अच्छा लगा। थैंक यू
डॉक्टर विक्रम। Okay, Pawan ji, maybe you can take over if there are no more comments, then maybe we can move towards.
I would like to be introduced with Angel Goindaraso because I am observing him or her first time on the platform.
Yes.
Okay, namaste to everyone. I'm Angel, and I've been very lucky 5 years ago to follow an awareness course in Ayurveda, and I had Dr. Radhakeesoon as lecturer. So there has been efforts to promote Ayurveda and to have awareness courses amongst the population, and that was a very good thing. What I would like for Ayurveda would be to have further studies here, and if possible to have the BAMS here. And also what I was thinking is that Ayurveda is accessible here in government hospitals. It's very good that it is well regulated. Medicines also are well regulated, but I feel that it might not be that much accessible as allopathy for the time being. So if it could be more available to the public, that would be better. So that were my thoughts about Ayurveda, and I'm very happy that this is being hosted today, and I think that the better is about to come. So thanks so much.
You are from which country, madam?
I'm from Mauritius, and basically I'm not from an Ayurveda background, no science background. I'm from an accounting background, finance, but I love Ayurveda and have lots of respect for Ayurveda, and I think it's a way of life, and I think it should be promoted more here in Mauritius and in the world, of course. And also what I wanted to add is that here in Mauritius, I have many friends, many doctor friends in India, BMS friends, and many of them, they asked me, they want to come here to practice. And I always tell them, I think there is scope here, there is place for many doctors from India, we Mauritian people, we would benefit from them. And but I think maybe there needs some facilitations, the procedures and all. We don't know. Even you in India, some didn't know about the Ayurveda, the Traditional Medicines Act, which we have in Mauritius. So I think with more webinars like this, with more discussions like this, then we would be able to cooperate better and make things move.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you to you. Thank you so much.
Madan sir.
Thank you, Pavanji. So I'm happy that we could hear Angela. Angela, thank you so much. Please join us. Number one, please join us in future events, because yesterday we had colleagues from Sweden who are also expressing the same thing. People without Ayurveda background. Yesterday we had Stina Anderson joining from Sweden, and she also says the same thing. I'm not an Ayurveda person, but I feel there is so much wisdom in Ayurveda that can benefit our people, because our people are missing something. So Angela, I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts today, which resonates completely with people like yourselves in other parts of the world. And this people-to-people network is part of Pawan Sharmaji's exercise in having this platform, so that we bring interactions at many, many levels. People-to-people, of course, are the most powerful network that we can form. So thank you, Angela. And please guide us, please join us in our future events. And we look forward to guidance from you people about where we should be going, because we are only a small group. Although we are connected around the world, we are a small group, and we want people to engage with us. I think yesterday, one of our senior Vaidyas from Mumbai, Rajan Patankarji, who's also our firm supporter and third generation Vaidya, he was also making the same comment, that public awareness, people, the strongest force are the people. When people wake up and say, oh, we want this, we've heard about this, this works, and we don't want other options, but we want to try this one. And what is also wonderful in our network, Angela, and for everybody here, is the quality of the senior people here. Dr. Agnihotriji is a retired professor from university. We have so many other people. We don't have too many people here. Dr. Doma Jagdishwar is in Telangana with incredible experience and insights that he can take us deep into. We learn from them every day. Nilakshi Dev Chowdhury is a professor of Siddhant in Assam. And Vishnu Prasadji is one of our senior colleagues here, retired as principal of the Guwahati Ayurveda Medical College. So we have a wonderful collection of people here with many, many decades of experience. And it is a privilege to be here sitting with them, getting their feedback, getting their input. But most of all, we want to have somebody, the citizens like yourself, Angela, who are following Ayurveda, to come to our platform, to come and comment on our platform and show senior policymakers like Anil Johari ji that the people are also excited about this thing. I see Nilakshi ji here with us. I just want to see if Nilakshi ji, we can get one or two words from Nilakshi ji in Assam. Namaskar ji.
Sir, good evening. Namaskar. Thank you so much for your encouraging words. It was really great. And it's very nice that Angela is so much interested with Ayurveda. And it's very nice that those who are not Ayurvedic people, they have taken Ayurveda to be a very important subject. It's really good. And Thangavalu sir, it's really good that you are conducting the session in so well. And Pawan sir too. And regarding Mauritius, it's very encouraging that people, just by listening to a TV show, just Ahar and Vihar, they come directly seeking the doctor. So it's great. It's not though the modern science is much prevalent there, so since the urge will help a lot. And I think we should propagate and we should develop the system there. And so I just wanted to know, are there people, do they people suffer from neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's in Mauritius?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we do have. We do have, in fact, many cases of Alzheimer and this neurological degeneration, and many patients, they are preferring to take Ayurvedic medicines. So they are following it, they are having a proper follow-up, and we are also getting results.
Okay, and are you getting cases of Parkinsonism there?
Yeah, we are having a lot of cases. We are
and what do you prescribe? And what is the...
made here as iron mostly. Basically, it is a, like we say, it's a Vata rogue. So we are trying to treat the root cause of the disease, and at the same time also, you know, I'm also asking patient to take coconut oil, pure virgin coconut oil, every day, 2 spoon at night. So that is also helping a lot, together with Nasya.
Yes. That's very good. You're giving Nasya, you're giving coconut oil. Are you giving Sirodhara?
Shirodhara, it depends. In certain cases we do give, but you know, since in the hospital there is the number of patients are so much that we are not able to give Shirodhara to every patient. So we are being very selective for these longer Panchkarma procedures.
Okay, it's very good. You are Dr. Vikash, no?
Vikash, yeah.
Yeah, it's very encouraging.
I'm Dr. Vikash Halgori.
Okay, it's very encouraging.
I have a request. Please share, please connect with Nilakshi ji directly. Because
yeah, sure.
From your discussions, if you put your telephone number on the chat box, then you can discuss among yourselves.
Definitely, I'll put my telephone number.
I know Ishji is there to guide us, but he's a busy man. He's got so many interactions going on. He's got many ministries to worry about. So we have a network of people here. Please connect with, please put your contact details and let us stay connected so that we have other levels of interactions also. I have Jasmeet Singh ji. Jasmeet ji, namaskar.
Madan ji, for a while I put forth few things.
Please.
In Telangana, a book called Basvarajam is very popular. Out of that, in previous decades, the Vaidyas of Nizam time, they were putting only single-digited medicines in the bag, and they were giving treatment to lot of ailments. But whereas now a bag of medicines are there, and I need not refer the degrees, they are unable to give proper vehicle to the disease. Proper vehicle to disease. This is one drawback. And another drawback is the prescription does not carry proper dosage at all. At times, I am seeing, which is coming to my notice, I myself smile and how they have learned. That's a very big process. Whosoever hearing my voice, that giving proper dose and at the same time giving proper vehicle to the medicine. For example, Shitamshuras, Ananda Bhairaviras, there are two, Jwara and Kasa. And in Basvarajam, Lokanatharas, these are referred what I am putting. They are in ancient practice. And these medicines, I think that in northern India is not popular. About Basvarajam, they are not knowing. You go in southern India, Telangana, Andhra, and Karnataka, they people are well versed in this text. And that big text, Basvarajam, gives a lot of information. And I'm having a Telugu edition of Vaidya Ratnavali in my hand, which is having so many north and south mixed, and this is edited by Dr. Mulugu Vishweshwara Shastri, HPIM, published by IMCOPS, Indian Medical Practitioners Cooperative Society, Adayar, Chennai. And this is recognized by the government of Telangana and Karnataka and southern India. But whereas IMCOPS you do not find in northern India, only in southern India you will find. And IMCOPS is an authorized company which manufactures Siddha and Ayurveda, and at the same time Unani also. and such compilation is there. That's why I feel it pity about the graduates or postgraduates or research scholars in the system of Ayurveda, that how far they gone deep to the vehicle and accordingly to the constitution. For example, a little very much popular talk in outside India in between us was about Manasamitra Vatakam. I think that I never prescribed Manasamitra Vatakam to anybody in 50 years of my career. It is from Ashtanga Yoga, Sahasra Yoga, and reasonably, if it is to be prescribed, it is better to be prescribed with Ashwagandha, Balatagara, Kurasanivama, and Sarpagandha a little, which works very little with this combination. J&J Decision Laboratories Private Limited of Hyderabad brings out with the name of Vitason, which is very safe medicine. I frequently prescribe to the patients, giving 300 tablets, 1 bottle to them, and consume as directed by me. There will be no case of that in my total giving treatment to the hypertensive, that people, they come and ask that. And it is only I tried for the last 50 years of my career for hypertensive patients. You consume little, what 4 ingredients I mentioned here, that is Ashwagandha, Sarpagandha, Balatagara, and Kurasane, Ajwain. These 4 only contains Vitasan. It is very safe. Sarpagandha very little. And about day before yesterday or something, Professor Agnihotriji was referring about Sarpina of Himalaya. It is out of notice of the physicians of Ayurveda, actually. Maybe most of the Himalaya drugs are practiced and prescribed by modern medicine people who are ignorant of system of Ayurveda. Actually, Himalaya is having much.
Damaji, have we lost you?
He muted, sir.
Damaji, you are muted.
Yes, sir. Debjani Roy, madam, wanted to say something, perhaps, sir, till we have Domaji.
Debjani ji.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you clearly, madam.
Okay. Good evening. It's so nice hearing all of you. And I'm really, really excited to hear what's going on in Mauritius. That was a very good thing. Just wanted, since Dr. Sharma mentioned that they're having a lot of clinical trials. Actually, we are involved with something called the Good Clinical Practice Professional Certification Scheme. And we were interested also if we could somewhere get Ayush system also in it. Right now, we don't have it, but we have this minimum standard of competency document and we could look at it. And secondly, it's just a sort of thought or my happiness, like when Dr. A. Sharma ji mentioned that Panchakarma could be introduced for tourism. It took me back years, somewhere in 2009, when I was in the Northeast for a number of years, Northeast India. And we took the Northeastern youth who were actually looking for a lot of occupation. And we took, it was funded by the Northeastern Council, and about 100 youth were taken to FRLHD and they were trained for Panchakarma short-term training course. And it was so successful that from the placement itself, they got absorbed mostly into the tourism sectors, in the wellness sector. And a few of them came back to Northeast, and in the Northeastern states, those days, wellness centers and Panchakarma therapy was not known and not popular, but centers were opened and they found job there. And they very successfully, they went on ahead. So when Dr. Sharma mentioned, I thought it was a real good thing that if these two could be connected and the Panchakarma therapists could be certified as per the ISO certification, because there would be persons and then certified people could be occupied at the tourism industry. So these were the few things. Thank you so much. And it's so nice listening to the August speakers and also the interactions.
Devjaniji, thank you so much for joining us today. For those who are new to the platform, Devjaniji presented on the 3rd of February, and she presented in our session on accreditation and certification, particularly with training and traditional healers. Devjaniji is very important in that she was the first person to put together large protocols for mapping traditional healers. They ran a very large project on looking at different 5 states initially, together with the Foundation for Revitalization of Local Health Traditions in Bangalore, that later became the Institute for Ayurveda and Transdisciplinary, and now the Transdisciplinary University. So Devjaniji, thank you so much. We enjoyed your presentation that day. For those who are interested in the presentation, the recording is archived in our web archives. And I particularly encourage you to listen to Devjaniji's presentation there that touches on how to do ISO standard accreditation for even traditional healers. So Namaskar-ji, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for suggesting what you have here today. We will come back to you to see how we can take that ISO certification and all your experiences perhaps into parts of Africa through ISHG's and through the work of the team there in Mauritius.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Your inspiration, guidance, and input at all stages. Together with Anilji, I think we are a formidable team that can take forward many, many areas that the rest of the world thinks is difficult to do. And they don't realize that it has already been achieved in India through your hard work and through your interactions with the people in Bangalore. So we are very grateful you have joined here with us today, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you so much, sir.
Please keep with us, please guide us as we grow and interact with other nations of the world, particularly in this whole area of standardizing and certifying. Your presentation on the ISO, was it 1074? I can't remember the exact number.
17,024.
17,024. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much. With Anilji around, he is a
Gram Vaidyas, we recall very well.
Gram Vaidyas, exactly.
Gram Vaidyas, yes, sir.
I encourage all of you to just visit, to listen to Devjaniji's presentation, which is in our archive. Pawanji, Ishji, I can keep talking and talking, but I want to draw my talking to a close. I want to thank you and all the wonderful colleagues you have brought both from Mauritius and from Punjab. I'm so happy to see Vikramjit ji here with us and so many other people that you have brought with you. I hope you will encourage them to join and stay with us and grow this program for the future. Number two, for all your colleagues from Mauritius, thank you so much. Many, many valuable points have come out today. I don't know how many, I know there are modern medicine colleges now in Mauritius. Anna College is one. I don't know how many more there are, but we want to see if we can interface these areas in the medical education research area in Mauritius. And I think because it's a small land, very easy to access, very easy to reach, everybody knows everybody else, I think those interactions will be much easier. And we look forward to the same interaction from our professor who is going, the Ayush professor, the chair that is going to Latvia, very small country, less than 2 million people, about the size of Mauritius. You are about 1.3 million people. And we look forward to these small nations where it is much easier to bring about interactions. I want to give you the example of Kerala, 36 million people. Again, very crowded state where all the Ayush modalities are in operation for a very long time. And there also, there is an opportunity to bring Ayurveda, Siddha, homeopathy, Kalari Chikitsa, Kalari people who are a very special group of people. All of those skills can be brought together in a very, very nice way. And together with our senior minds like Devjani ji and Anil Johari ji, I think we can enable a lot of things to guide future discussions in WHO. Mauritius is part of WHO Africa. We have colleagues from WHO, PAHO, who are also interested. I think there is an opportunity for a lot of new dialogues to come out. And now our professorship is going to go to Riga. So that is within Latvia, within the WHO Europe area. So I think there is, as Ishji says, to work towards what happens in the traditional medicine agenda in WHO past 2023. Now is the time. Ishji, we look forward to your leadership in some of these spaces too. So I finish off here. Pawanji, Namaskar ji, absolutely amazing event. I have learned so much today and I'm quickly making notes. Anil ji has taken on the challenge of O-level, A-level courses. If it wasn't for Radhakeesoon ji, we wouldn't have thought about that. So Radhakeesoon ji, thank you so much for quickly sharing that idea with us that Anil ji is taking on, and he will be running with that with the ministry and discussing further. Pawanji, namaskar. Thank you so much.
So I would now like to request Professor VK Agnihotri ji for his concluding remarks. Professor VK Agnihotri.
Thank you.
And,
thank you.
After that, I would like to request you all to pay homage to Lata Mangeshkar ji. Today she is expired. So in the last, we will pay homage to Sur Samagri Lata Mangeshkar. Agnihotri ji, please.
Okay. Thank you, Pawan Sharma sir. Our regards to all the very big dignitaries and all the guest speakers who contributed our webinar with their knowledge. What I feel and consider that Mauritius is our second home. So today's environment of webinar is completely changed, as we were confining to only one country in that way, and everybody was talking as if we are just close family members. And important is this, that today TBO College took the lead, and a number of graduates are leading and established there, and they are promoting other graduates from India to come and get involved in the development of Ayurveda. Wonderfully known to me that Government of India is providing a scholarship those who are interested to learn Ayurveda from your country. It's wonderful. We just recapitulate that way back in probably 2003, during the Prime Ministership of Vajpayee ji, our Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi ji was the HRD minister, and in Mauritius there was the International Hindi Sammelan. And one of my friend, Dr. Joshi, who is the Vice Chancellor here nowadays in Uttarakhand Ayurveda University, he, along with his wife, visited with Dr. Joshi, Murli Joshi, and right then, it was 2003 or so, he capsulated so many things regarding the possibilities of developing Ayurveda and practicing Ayurveda there. And when in our student regime from BHU, persons are coming from Mauritius and having a good delegation, showing their interest for the learning of Ayurveda. Because of Corona, we could not reach there, but our friends are there who have visited once or two international conferences there. And our Kaviraj Dharamveer ji, the General Secretary of All India PGS, Ayurveda PG Specialist Association, they have conducted there with the collaboration of this Mauritius platform. And I do remember Dr. Sovereign, probably he was there. And since our Sir Shivsagar Ram Gulam himself has got roots with our country, India, so they are always pro with Ayurveda, and the scene is very clear that things are developing like anything. So Dr. Radhakeesoon, as he referred so many important names like Banarsi Das Gupta ji and Dr. Mayara Munyal ji, they dragged us 40 years back as far as the Ayurvedic legends are concerned. It is my pride to say that Mayara Munyal is also Rishkul Alminus. So he is our graduate and our very senior. So he contributed in the field of the herbal medicine and all that. And out of his knowledge and his books, we all developed to this extent. So this history of Ayurveda developed there in Mauritius was well put by Dr. Radhakeesoon. And secondly, our Dr. Vikas, as it was introduced that he has got a good enthusiasm, and we visualized his enthusiasm when he was presenting himself with all the deep-rooted things and how it can be practiced and how he is developing. Really, it was nice to hear him on these issues. And as far as Dr. Professor E. Sharma is concerned, he did more than a moderation in comparison to our Madan sir, as he was tagging all the today's guests, though they were his junior or colleague. Even Sadaji was his colleague from Punjab. So in overall, what I found that Mauritius is a very pro-Ayurvedic country, and we have got all the possibilities to develop more and more. And really, it is also a pleasure to see that 166 medicines are there allowed by Mauritius government to practice with our Ayurvedic graduates and those who are practicing there. This is all great knowledge, and rather it is indirect support of Ayurveda to our country also. So we are providing the education to your, to coming persons from Mauritius, and Mauritius is giving full platform to practice with Ayurvedic preparation there in their countries. So really, it is great. And we do hope that very early we will like to visit Mauritius, as our conference is overdue, and because of this corona, we could not reach. So definitely, we do hope that we will meet. And I'm just remembering Dr. Sovereign is there. He has got some connection with the this Indian Commission there. As you are telling, so was the hello.
आपकी आवाज आ रही है?
Okay. So what I feel that as Easter telling that the Indian Commission is very much means connected with our Ayurvedic development there in this country. So was the gesture we saw there in Tashkent in Uzbekistan. She was also very much interested with Ayurveda, and he, along with the some Uzbekistan authorities, they were also got education from BHU. So there also I found the same atmosphere in Tashkent when we visited last. So it's very good that Ayurveda is having much more, say, tentacles in different countries, and we do hope that the future of Ayurveda in coming years will be high and high, including 130 countries, which is already struggling and doing platform. A lot of good speakers today joined our webinar today, including persons coming from Mauritius itself, and they all appreciated Dr. Professor E. Sharma. It's my pleasure that E. Sharma honestly doing a lot. But since today's day was full of sorrow, and honestly speaking, I was just putting video and seeing the last rituals of our Sir Kokila Lata Mangeshkar ji. So I was just having tears in my eyes right from very morning. So this is the last time, high time to pay our heartfelt homage to him along with the platform. Thank you. Over to Dr. Pawan Sharma.
Before paying homage to Swar Samriddhi Lata Mangeshkar ji, I would like to just inform you regarding tomorrow's and day after tomorrow's webinar. Tomorrow again, standardization and guidelines for standards. Dr. Satyavrat Maiti, Dr. Suren Chaudhary, Dr. Arun Pandala, and Dr. Himanshu Shekhar from Multani Pharmaceuticals. Then, day after tomorrow, we are having good laboratory practices by Dr. Vishnu Priya De, by Dr. Piyush Juneja, and Dr. Madhusudan Viji. So please don't forget to join us every day at 6 p.m. So now I would like to request Professor V.K. Agnihotri ji to take lead for 1 minute silence. We can stay on our places. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Om Shanti.
ओम शांति। वो ऐसी हस्ती है इनकी याद युगों युगों तक रहेगी और आवाज हर कान में गूंजती रहेगी। नाम गुम जाएगा, चेहरा ये बिगड़ जाएगा। भाई थैंक यू सब। गुड नाइट। गुड नाइट।
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks everyone.
Thank you everyone.